Hello and welcome back to Outside the Box, an MLS podcast. My name is Juanners.
This is Daniel.
I'm Jeremey.
I'm Joss.
And we're back with another episode of Outside the Box here, recapping all of the goodness in Major League Soccer. And fellas, I have to say, this past match day, I quite enjoyed it. It was all on one day, so we didn't get a Sunday night soccer here. Still got plenty of OTB matches to discuss. We had a El Tráfico as well to kind of cap off the night. I thought it was a very, very fun match day. Daniel kind of wanted to start here though with some Heritage Cup stuff. Columbus Crew, DC United. First game on our table here. And I'll take it to Daniel since he wanted to mention it first. So tell us about the Heritage Cup, Mr. Daniel.
I wanted to talk about Seattle and San Jose and their part of the Heritage Cup.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait, but Columbus and DC are a rivalry, aren't they?
I'm not sure. Are they? I actually don't know. I'm not.
Is that the Atlantic Cup? Is that where I'm getting them confused?
Atlantic Cup is DC Red Bulls.
Well, my bad, fellas. My bad, Daniel. We'll get to the Heritage Cup. See, I don't even know about it, so it'll be a good introduction when we get there. Let's go to Columbus and DC, though. Let's stay on these guys, because if you would have told me that Daniel Gazdagh's first goal for the Columbus Crew would have come via the penalty spot, I would have not even doubted you for a second. But Columbus Crew getting a win over DC. DC still without Renee Weiler. What did you guys make of this one between the Crew and DC? If anyone wants to lead ahead with this one.
Now I'm reading about the DC United Columbus rivalry.
I'm trying to see if there's a name for it. I'm doing the same thing.
No, me too.
Well, I mean, if you're a keen MLS enjoyer, you'd know about the Map for a Fire situation, which was a match between Columbus and DC. But that's about as far as I really thought that was a Heritage Cup. So, I mean, it goes to show my ignorance there. But, yeah, I mean, guys, it's really hard to watch DC United. I wanted to briefly talk about them because, yes, Benteke's back. He did his LeBron stomp Selly, which I thought was funny given where they're at in the table. But are we ready to just put the pin in DC and call it a season for them?
I mean, it's July 22nd as we're recording this right now. And There's still a lot of season left to go, but I think where you're coming from, Juan, is that DC hasn't shown any sort of signs of life. Yeah. And it just seems, I mean, and this can go back 2, 3, 4 years now, even longer than that. I mean, when was the last time DC showed any sort of signs of life?
I mean,
the Lucho Acosta game winner against Orlando?
Yeah.
Well, this actually leads to a good question. Has an interim coach ever taken somebody to the playoffs after being fired? After the head coach got fired?
Rob Valentino.
Oh.
Last year.
I don't know how I forgot about that.
That's the first one that comes to mind. But, I mean, I feel like and we can even talk about this with SKC too, but, if you have an interim tag as a coach, it is just such a skip of a season, unless you are a Rob Valentino pushing for the end. I don't know how Joss feels about that with Kerry Zavagnin, but
we'll talk about it.
DC at least has the coach in, right? They pivoted quick from Lassane into a new head coach, so it's only a matter of time till they go. But by all means, I think they're playing for next season.
Yeah, and that planning probably started with the hiring. That's probably where the majority of their planning was, focused around, was who's the right guy to rebuild us for next season. And so I'll be interested to see what move, do you think they'll make any other moves in the transfer in the transfer window when he comes in, or is it just figure out who you have right now for the rest of the season and then get Rene Wilder's guys in next season? Like DC's at such a crossroads right now, and it's at the bottom end of the table. If they're not at a crossroads, we're like, oh, we need to focus on Leagues Cup because we don't have a chance of winning MLS Cup, or oh, we need to focus on MLS Cup, or how are we going to handle both? No, it's when are you going to get your guys in, and are you going to get the guys in that Rennie Wilder wants, so you make a push for the playoffs, or is it all just for not focus on next season? I just feel it just feels kind of poor to write them off this easy. And are they the first team that we're kind of writing off? Also, for me, it feels like a good place to start.
I mean, it's funny because I will refuse to write off our Montreal, but who are 4 points behind DC, right? But beyond that, like I don't see how with what DC have. I mean, I do like Peglo. I do like Pirani. Benteke is, an aerial like anomaly, right? And I think any club would do well to just do more than just push him into a one-dimensional, I can score every header, because he can. He absolutely can. But, like, if there's no, like, tactical, like, we see Minnesota, right? They are doing some crazy stuff from the throw-ins. If DC were doing that, too, they'd be a lot better. You know what I mean? I think they're just missing some of that creativity in getting the most out of these guys. But speaking of creativity and getting the most out of guys, Mr. Wilfred Nancy, I definitely do think Columbus has cooled off like a lot. They did have that loss to Nashville midweek, but they make up for it. They win the game they're supposed to win here. How are we feeling about the Crew, like long term in the East here for the rest of the season?
I have such mixed feelings. First, I want to say how funny is it that Daniel Gazdag gets his first goal with Columbus as a penalty? Were we all expecting that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I think, if you look at them from like a transfer window perspective, because I think as a fan, like when you go and look at the social media sphere of Columbus and you see how close they are to being a really, really good team this year, just how good of a coach Nancy is, you say, okay, they're a striker away. And now, I don't know if the deal's done yet, but it seems extremely close that Wissam Abdul Ali, who has been the leading scorer in the Egyptian league for the last, 3 years, is now coming to Columbus on the biggest outbound transfer in the Egyptian league's history. But at the same time, they're losing a guy who's actually crucial to their gameplay, Max Arfson, potentially to League One Uber Eats team. So I think they need that striker. But they also need that width that they require. Like they need it. Like it's how they play. They play through their width and they overlap their fullbacks, and it just seems like that striker is going to play a huge part. But losing Arston on that left hurts them a ton as well. So I think they're going to be really good because they need a striker, and you pair that with Rossi and Gazdag. You got a really good formula there. But I feel like you're going to lose a lot on that left side. That's for sure.
Well, I will say Lassi Lapalainen was filling in pretty well ahead of Max Arfston. So I'm willing to, and Lapalainen also had one of his better years playing under Nancy at Montreal. So I think they're fine, personally, at the left back. It's just really about getting that striker, because there's games where, they can get away with having Lapalainen, but they can't get away with having Jason Russell-Rowe up top. You know what I mean? Like yeah. you need that final end product, and I think is it El Ali? Is that the player coming in?
Oh no, it's Wissam Abdul Ali, and he's coming from Al Ali.
Okay, that's where I get.
He just played in the Club World Cup. Actually,
I'll have to see that name over and over and over again until I get it right. But I'm excited for Columbus here at least. But maybe does Gazdag go crazy now that he's got the camel off his back?
Maybe.
That's what I think everybody's waiting for. Because it looks like his movement's been all right. Nancy's said that He said that Gazdag's like getting into the positions to score. He's just kind of been unlucky. Maybe he's been paid to say that. I feel like that's an excuse that a lot of people use when the play, like the big money transfer doesn't seem to be working out. But like his underlying numbers are there, and so maybe it's just a matter of getting that off his back, getting the pressure off his back, really letting himself kind of let loose, or he just takes pens for the rest of the time and he ends up putting together another MVP run off of that. I don't know.
Jeremy?
I mean, here's the thing I've always had with Gazdag. He's always been more of a second striker than a true like number 10 or even a number 9. He's like in between both of those roles. And Nancy's system in theory has a spot for a player like that. The problem is he's just been so horrifically snake bitten in front of goals since putting on a Crew jersey, right? Like we've seen him. It seems like he misses like one big chance every single game. So now that he's been able to score that, it's pretty good for him. Pretty good for him. I think the goals start to come more now.
So of the 4 teams here, well, I mean, I guess I'll be good to get into there later. I mean, who else do we have on the OTB on the East? Of the top 4, I'm gonna do a flash question for y'all here as I pull up the standings. Of the top 4 Eastern Conference teams, Cincy, Nashville, Philly, and Columbus, who are you ready to buy like your most stock into a very strong late season push? You know, we're talking MLS Cup. Like, if you were to pick a team now between these 4, I'm gonna pull the pod starting with Daniel.
Hey, shit, you should have started with me. This is such a hard question. I think Cincinnati's ready to implode, and they're pretty injury stricken, so I'm not buying stock in them. Nashville and Philly are kind of like the same team to me, and neither one of them are making moves this summer. At least nothing that's rumored as of right now. I think Columbus is who I'm buying stock in because they have the best coach and they're getting a big DP striker, which is supposedly going to be the fix. You pair that with Rossi and Gazdag, and maybe they're going from scoring. What are they scoring a game right now? Hold on. They're averaging 1.83 goals a game. Maybe that jumps up to the 2 range into that Cincinnati conversation as Cincinnati starts to die off here. So I'm going to buy stock into Columbus.
Jeremy?
Yeah, Columbus is the safe one to buy stock in, but I also like to keep buying stock in Nashville. I feel like they're still probably one of the most complete teams in the East. They have the match winners in the attack. They have a really good midfield. They have a really solid back line, and they're still doing a lot of their damage without Walker Zimmerman on the pitch. So, yeah, I feel like Nashville is probably one of the safer, like, keep buying their stock.
Joss?
I have to agree with Jeremy. I think it's Nashville as well. And for a lot of the same reasons, I think that there is, like what BJ Callahan has done is kind of remained, he's left some Gary Smith remnants sprinkled in. Nashville are still very strong defensively, as we saw in their game against Toronto. Joe Willis didn't have to make a save. But he's let the players play and let them play to their strengths. And so as a whole, attack-wise, defensively, and in the midfield, they're so strong. And Joe Willis is also a great option at keeper. So as a whole, I think that they're the best team. Plus, in midweek, they did just decimate the Crew 3-0. Just putting that out there.
Okay, I am going to be the bearer of bad news. I do think Cincinnati are that team because of all these teams. In 5th, I made sure not to mention these guys specifically, is Inter Miami, who've got plenty of games in hand, right? But Cincinnati showed how to really limit them, and it was a midweek game, but all these other teams, the Union, I think, drew Miami, right? But Columbus lost to Miami in kind of some terrible, home stadium shenanigans playing in Cleveland, but Cincinnati proved they can beat, Miami, and I think Miami's the team to beat right now as Messi kind of returns to league form and gets going back onto the side. But let's any other thoughts on these guys before we move on?
Thank you for the rabbit hole you sent me down on MLS Heritage or on MLS Cups, rivalry cups, because the Trillium Cup is something I didn't even know existed, and now I know.
Wait a minute, that one that's Columbus, Toronto, right?
Correct. Do you know why it's named the Trillium Cup?
I do not know. Educate me.
The Trillium is a flower, and it's the official flower of Ontario and of Ohio.
Ooh, okay.
How fun is that? This league rocks.
We need more flower based rivalries.
We really do.
Unfortunately, we were going to do a live react to the we were going to do a live react to the skills challenge live on the pod. Just a little break in the rhythm, but it seems that Apple and their anti-piracy measures have gotten the best of the OTB crew here. So I don't have it up, but the fellas are more than welcome to have it up on their second screen. Let's move ahead. Let's talk about El Tráfico, from Trillium Cup to Heritage Cup, which I didn't know was Seattle, San Jose, to El Tráfico, probably the most hyped and definitely worth a lot of the hype, I would say. Rivalries in the league. LAFC, they've got a crazy one in Buanga, guys. Like, I think we've all have kind of, I think the general MLS sphere has always kind of anointed him as like one of the best players in the league. Definitely, I think one of the best players out of the Western Conference. But dude, this dude torched like the Galaxy back line, bro. He was on a legacy game. Unfortunately, the back line did not help hold up. And now, without Aaron Long, without Eddie Segura, LAFC are going to run into some center back issues here. I think that could be enough to really disrupt their push. But they got games in hand, right? So we'll see how that goes. What are your guys' thoughts on El Tráfico, though? Like, I thought this was a very fun addition, and my model said take every goal scorer, and I did.
I guess I'll start here. Buanga, like, it's crazy that LAFC have had 2 all-world DPs in their history, and then the rest of them have just been hilariously bad. Even though their current, like, placeholder DP, Dil Rosen, he scores in this game. And even so, I think it took a little bit of a Novak Mikovic error for that to get into the net. This game changed, though. It was 2-1 at halftime. It changed when Diego Fagundes entered the pitch at halftime. That's when this game changed. And I was really, really, really impressed with the way that no matter how bad the Galaxy have been this year, and they haven't been great, even though they've been doing a little bit better recently, they just refused to give up in this game. They baited Segura into a red card, and Maya Yoshida rose above every single black shirt in that penalty box to head home the equalizer. Even when both of these teams are bad, this game is still just so good. I still don't believe the premise of it makes it the biggest rivalry in MLS, but these 2 teams and the players especially, they just hate each other. And I love that.
Well, I did say hyped, most hyped. I didn't mean to make it the biggest, but that is what it kind of, I mean, the league definitely wants to promote this. Like, this is, I mean, LAFC and LA Galaxy is their best product, I think. I mean, this game has always just popped off, and I think we need a bit more of, like, personalities in these rivalries, because it feels like a lot of the times Like, there's only so few fixtures I see, and you really see like the players really getting into it. One that comes to mind that's very natural is SKC and RSL. Like that, I've always like have been keen watcher of just, you know, how nasty those games can be. But this one, like, hyped for sure. Anyone have any earth-shattering takes on LAFC? I know they're gonna be without some center back. What would you guys do in this situation? Because they did get rid of Marlon. Marlon's no longer at the team, which would have been fine with him. You know what I mean? But moving forward, like Eddie Segura getting a red card, that's gonna bite them. And any other center back kind of deficiencies is gonna really hurt them here. You guys think they go out and get someone?
I think they almost have to go out and get somebody, but in the meantime, like until that happens, like my first thought is you have a player like Seattle has who you could stick back there like they do with Alex Roldan, and they don't have somebody who can do that. I want to say, was it 2 years ago? I saw how Ryan Hollingshead slot into the center back spot for a couple games. Like,
I mean, he was a center back at Dallas, so I think he could do it if you want Smolyakov out there.
That's just like such a temporary. That's like a band-aid to like a bleed, like something that needs stitches. You know what I mean? Like that's not like a permanent fix. So you almost have to go out and get somebody there. Do you guys know what my favorite story for LAFC is so far?
What is it?
They extended Dilroson's loan till this Friday just for him to play. And there's no news about whether or not he is going to be getting re-signed or not. So they extended him for, what, 1 day so that he can play this Friday? All I'm going to say is that part of our history tweet's going to hit like crack on Saturday.
Daniel, they extended it for 1 day so they could play who exactly?
I don't even know. I didn't look. I just saw the tweet.
The Portland Timbers.
Oh, that makes it even funnier. That's wild.
That's
my God. His final game is him torching Kamal Miller. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, great. Like, I get to see Dilroson, because I'm going to be at this one in person, guys. And, yeah. I think the center back issues are serious. In addition to the fact they don't really have a number 10 and that they spent this entire Trafico game behind the ball because they can't really do anything in possession. Their best chances are created literally by Bouanga going downhill at everybody. So they still have a lot of games in hand. The overall talent level on the squad is good enough that, yeah, they're probably going to get top 4, but those reinforcements have to come in. They really do.
But like, Jeremy, how disappointing has this midfield been? Like just so hit or miss. Like at the beginning of the season, if you told me you had a midfield Delgado, Igor Jesus, and Tillman, I would have been like, that's a pretty good MLS midfield. Yet, I mean, I go through and I look at the FOTMob scores and I see they're all over 7 1 week and they're all in the 6s the next week. And then you watch them and they can't hold possession. It's just like, what is happening with that midfield? Because I feel like that's not a characteristic of Dolo ball normally.
Maybe Dolo's phoning it in. Could be some of that, no? Dolo's phoning it in, maybe, because he's out the door either way. I mean, if you're LAFC, why don't you move on quicker? You know, like why wouldn't you bring in a new coach around this time? I mean, maybe it does affect the chemistry a bit. I don't know if like. I don't get the sense that the players aren't playing for him, but I mean, like Mark Delgado, you know he's going to be a very stout midfielder. He's not going to give you the flair. Like I would blame more of this on Tillman than anything, who should be the more creative of the three there. But I don't think Tillman is the guy here for them. And as solid as he's been like steady, you know what I mean? But I think we just want more out of LAFC because they are that team. What do you think, Jeremy?
Would you guys just fire Dolo? Like, would that be something you guys would just do?
Not without a replacement lined up.
It's time for the amicably part ways thing.
Yes.
You're done with the project?
I mean, you got a perfectly able Mark Dos Santos right there, just waiting.
I saw a crazy rumor.
Interim.
I saw a crazy rumor that they were waiting and negotiating actively with Ange. I don't even know how to say his last name. He was the old. Yeah, the manager for Tottenham who got fired after winning them the Europa League, the Conference League. Yeah, the Conference.
No, he won the Europa League.
Oh, Europa. My bad. Sorry.
Only certain massive managers like David Moyes can win the Conference League.
Did West Ham win it this year?
Yeah, no, 2023.
Okay, well, they get right.
Hey, I'm still riding that high. I don't think I'm firing Dolo though, simply because, like Juan said, the chemistry is there, and
they're still good.
I'm kind of I'm just kind of half expecting, like, come on guys, coach is right. We got to play for each other and play for him, like it's a sports movie. Like from the 90s, and I'm imagining Mark Delgado in the center of the dressing room with his LA Galaxy ring, and he's looking at it, and he puts it aside, and he goes, "Guys, we can do it if we play together." That's why I don't fire Dolo, because you're not going to get that moment if you fire the coach that they're all wanting to play for.
That's going to play great on the 2026 iteration of Onside Major League Soccer.
Any thoughts on the Galaxy? We don't have to talk about it. I mean, their season has been done.
I just want to say they keep on getting results. It's like, what the fuck was this the first 15 weeks?
They lost against Austin on the road midweek, though. So if we really want to, you got to win your home games if you really want to make a playoff push.
That's true. But they're 2 wins. They lost in 3 draws in the last 7 games. It's just fun to see them not give up.
Yeah, as a Charlotte fan, if you would have read that stat line to me 3 weeks ago as a Charlotte fan, I would have been like, "Fuck yeah, sign me up."
God, give me that right.
Okay, that's valid. I just wonder, do we give more stock into? I mean, how many points? They're 13 points out of a 9th, and the Earthquakes did just lose. So I mean, there's like a lot of teams got to implode for Galaxy. That's kind of why I'm like, well, are these teams really like? Are we really thinking SKC is going to implode before LA Galaxy just peter out their season, or St. Louis?
Yes.
All right, fairs. But I mean, anyone want to lead with a final Galaxy take before we move on?
No, I'm good.
No, I have a take brewing, but I think I'm going to use it for a different team.
It's marinating for you.
It is. There's something there.
Awesome.
I just got to pick the right team. It's a great metaphor.
I'm all for great metaphors. Let's head to Portland Timbers, Minnesota United. Big shout out to that TIFO that opened up the proceedings. And an even bigger shout out to whoever decided to have Lucas Milano on there. I'd like to think maybe there was some Jeremey influence on that one. But Jeremey, do you have any comment for Lucas Milano being on this amazing, gorgeous TIFO?
Disappointed that he was standing up and not flopping. But other than that, that was beautiful. That was glorious. And I'm going to give a little bit of background on this, because normally the word when it comes to the TIFOs for Timbers Army, which are undoubtedly the best in the league, that's not even me being a homer there.
No, like, it's easy.
It's just very, very easy. They don't miss. And I've seen so many teams around the league just miss with their TIFOs so in like such major moments. But this is for the 50th anniversary celebration. It's the largest painted TIFO in MLS history. It had 3 separate like normal sized TIFO panels that went up on the west side. And then there's the big centerpiece that went up in front of the north end. And just all the man hours, volunteering, coordinating, designing that had to go into putting this together. Like, It's a lot, but what makes the Timbers Army so special is they're so consistent with the way that they're able to just plan out these things. And when the email went out prior to this game that this is going to be the biggest TIFO in MLS history, people were like, okay, like it's going to be big. What's it going to say? Blah, 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 blah. And it was beautiful. It was absolutely glorious. Not only was Lucas Milano on this TIFO, George Foshive was. And I love George Foshive. So I feel like they captured everything that they needed to, and they still put on a spectacle. Now on to the game. Is it game time? Do we talk about the game?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the Timbers, man, because, I mean, they're also coming off a really rough loss against Salt Lake from midweek. And I know, I mean, they've been on a bad stretch of form here, but, I mean, tell us, what is going on with the Timbers? I am fully willing to say, hey, midweek slumps happen to all of us. Next game has to be a very, a good showing from the Timbers. But tell us, Jeremy, what's your diagnosis on Portland so far?
Did you know that for the final 2 games of this week, the Timbers did not have a single healthy DP?
That would explain a lot.
Yes, because David DaCosta, who scored last weekend against St. Louis, I've made my thoughts on that game very, very clear. He goes into the locker room during warm-ups and is ruled out with groin tightness before that RSL game. So Phil Neville, who is basically like, oh, well, I got to do something. I got to figure out something here. He decides to play Felipe Mora as like a second striker, like combining forward, which there were some spots that it worked out a little bit, but on the whole, it really wasn't that great, was it? So it became a case of whoever's going to score first is going to win this game, and RSL, who once again just had free roam of Portland's midfield, which, I mean, that's kind of a familiar thing for teams playing the Timbers this year. They had free roam of Portland's midfield, and they won the intensity battle, and Diogo Gonçalves goes near post on Maxime Crépeau. Oh, that's a movie I've seen a ton of times this year and last year. So Portland basically just had no attacking threat in this game. But when you play against Minnesota and you're forced to attack, and the team is actually starting to get off some shots, then good things can happen. The problem is they didn't defend every set piece. They defended most of them, but all it took is one set piece opportunity for Minnesota. I think it was like 15 of 16 the Timbers defended away, except that one that turned into Anthony Markanic's 6th goal of the season, which is insane for a left wing back. He doesn't really score from like run of play that much. He's just a set piece threat. So
as funny
good job,
as that
St.
sounds,
Louis.
right? Because that dude is tiny.
He's 6'1", actually. Like
really?
Here's the crazy thing about this. So I was on the pitch, like doing like video photography of the TIFO when the players were walking out, and from my spot on the pitch, I was right next to where the walkout line happens. Minnesota is full of a bunch of just big, strong, like I'm gonna say brutes because that's how they play, and they're just a physical nightmare for any team that has to go up against them. So Markanic, even though he looks kind of small on the pitch, that's just because the rest of the Minnesota team is so big. Like he's still a healthy 6'1", and but also you don't have to be a big guy to be a set piece threat, because Omir Fernandez, who is very, very smart, notices after one of Portland's late corners that Minnesota has completely neglected to mark the back post. So when another corner comes in, it gets recycled. Juan Mosquera's second ball comes into the back post. Omir Fernandez is there to roof it, and he scores his first goal in Portland Timbers colors. And it's a draw that feels like a win, because when you're playing as a team with no DPs on the pitch, once again, you've actually managed to match one of the most physical teams in MLS history, because that's what they are. They're going to bully you around. and you're still able to provide a late equalizer, I'd say that's actually a pretty decent result given the circumstances.
Man, I think this is because I mean, DaCosta. Do we have a timeline on that? Anthony is like another. I want to say another month.
It's saying early August for DaCosta.
Well, here DaCosta, we don't have an official thing on him yet. I'll learn that tomorrow. But he isn't playing in the All-Star game. He's been an injury withdrawal, being replaced by Kai Wagner. Because yeah, why not? Whatever. DaCosta's out of the All-Star game. We're gonna see how long it's gonna take for him to come back. I've heard reports that it isn't groin, it's a hamstring, which is a little bit concerning. But other than that, Anthony, who does have a hamstring, there's a chance he could be back for the last Leagues Cup game against Club America. And based on the rehab work that I've personally seen him do, that could be a possibility. But they don't want to rush him.
Yeah. So a little bit, well, because I mean, I definitely feel as though you could probably get him to get some minutes in Leagues Cup just to build fitness, which I'm not entirely against teams doing because I don't put a lot of stock into Leagues Cup, personally speaking. But I feel like once he's back, the Timbers are going to be back too. Like I
don't know about that.
No?
No,
you don't think you're missing Anthony?
We're missing Anthony and another DP on the other wing.
Yeah, but I mean, even still, like, I mean, you were one of the big defenders of that. Of like, yeah, like, it sucks that Rodriguez went down, right? But Anthony has been carrying that goal load, and ideally, you want kind of another DP here in the summer window. So that'll be all for Portland to figure out. And I think, I mean, are you projecting a big signing coming to Portland? Like, is that something that the FO would be doing in this situation here?
I do believe that it will be a big signing. Now, the question is it a big purchase or is it a big loan? Or is it something else? Because Rodriguez has an exit clause in his contract after this year. If he played a certain amount of games this year, or I think it was minutes, I think it was like 70% of all available minutes or like 50, either way, he didn't hit it. So he has the option, personal option to just cut his contract and go back to Uruguay. I think he's going to take that. Now, I don't know whether or not that's like the best move team-wise, but if you're a 31, 32-year-old Jonathan Rodriguez, you're coming back from a very serious knee injury, you've had surgery, and you have this option, your contract, to go back to your home country and probably go play for Peñarol again, I'd take that if I was him. And I think that Portland's DP this summer is going to have that in mind. And whether or not they decide like, okay, yeah, we're pretty sure he's going to end up going back to Peñarol because they've been doing the 2-4 method. And if Rodriguez is eligible to start the season next year, he's healthy, they'd have to switch to the 3-3 unless they're willing to basically go out and get a DP that would fall underneath the max TAM line that they could potentially make TAMable next year with the extra GAM that they're going to get from continuing to use that method. So I think that they need to find a true DP. They need to find someone who's going to be making above that max TAM line, and that will cost however much money to bring in. And despite purchasing the ground where their training facility is, that's an underrated story. They've spent they're probably going to spend $50 million over the next year upgrading the training facility. that now they have all the land for, and they already have an existing building there. Money still isn't a problem aside from that. So I think it's finding the right player for what they need at this time. I think it's a right winger because I go back and forth on Santiago Moreno over and over and over again, and they need just like a better player at that right wing spot, and they can get one. So that's what I think the DP is going to be with Anthony coming back from injury, playing on the left, and not getting a striker too. They don't need a DP striker right now. They need to create more, and they need someone on the right that can both score and create. Like, I hate to bring up like an Anders Dreyer, but like a player kind of like that who can do both, facilitate and score.
Wouldn't every club like that though?
Every club would, but that's kind of the player that they need on the right wing right now.
What about Minnesota? Pivoting over to them, what for you guys? What is missing from Minnesota? Like, they are a team that doesn't want the ball at all, allergic to the ball. Is this something that they can like get away with for the entire year? Just playing this counter-attacking style, just playing for those throw-ins, because they are amongst one of the like leaders in not just MLS but like globally across all clubs. They are like one of the leading people in these free throw goals. Like you'd think teams would wisen up by now, but they're just, I mean, it's like a video game cheat. You know what I mean? Like they are onto something here, and I wouldn't be surprised if you start to see kind of a meta shift. And I think this Minnesota team, like, kudos to them, because if the rest of the world football follows suit, like, that goes to just show, like, you know, Ramsey here is like a mind of MLS that like led for this to happen. Does anyone else have any like thoughts on Minnesota here beyond just this kind of leading global shenanigan tomfoolery goal scoring method?
I mean, Minnesota's.
Ooh, sorry, Josh. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. Minnesota's clear flaw is that they cannot play with the ball, like you're saying, Juan, and they have a -7 goal differential from the 70th minute onward games, meaning that they're losing focus without the ball, and they're getting punished for it. So they are fun because their style is so different, and it makes for fun soccer. But their clear weakness is that they are allergic to the ball, and it's starting to cost them, especially late in games. Because playing like that requires so much mental fortitude that, you know, one slip and suddenly you're staring down the barrel of, losing or giving up a lead. So if I'm Minnesota, if I'm Ramsey, like, obviously what they do works to a point. They need to get past, I don't know if it's a mental block, I don't know if it's anything physical, but they just need to get past the point where they can close out games, because they've started to lose that. And if you're a defensive team that can't close out a game, then what are you really?
That's a good point. I'd also like to add on that based on the talent that's on this team, they absolutely could play with the ball. Like, they really could. Pereira, he's a really good player. Ludd, unbelievably good player. Probably the most underrated player in the entire league, and he has been for years. So I don't get why they're so anti-ball when they do have the pieces to actually play with it.
Yeah, and
that actually brings up a really good point, Jeremy, because I think it's almost like, do you know that advanced analytics tweet you sent into our private chat earlier today? Was it earlier today or yesterday? But it almost makes me wonder, just like who is looking at these things the most. It almost makes me wonder, in like a world of like, hey, everyone's looking at that stuff to some extent. Some people have hired more staff to another, but it's almost like they are purposely not playing with the ball, and they could, I believe Jeremy's right when he says that, like they absolutely could. They're just choosing not to. They are choosing to allow other people to make mistakes, and then they will capitalize on it. Like that's just the way they're playing, and they don't want to change the way they're playing right now. I think it's going to create matchup problems for people in the future, and they've been able to manage to do it really, really, really well all year. So I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon.
Yeah, until someone stops us, I mean, we can do this for the West as well. Of the top 4 teams, we got San Diego, Vancouver, Minnesota, and Seattle. Who are you picking for a deep run in the playoffs now? Like, who's your top stock right now? Knowing that LAFC have some game in hand, we'll probably get to them, later in the season once the playoffs really start to approach. But of the 4 teams, fellas, in the top 4 of the West, who are you going your stock with? Because for me, it's Minnesota. Like, still, like even with their style, even with, I mean, you have not just Tani Olawoshe, Kelvin Yeboah, who has been like rotational. Now he's kind of getting more minutes, but like when Tani Olawoshe is just popping off like this, like I am all for it. But of those 4, I'll go to you, Daniel. Who are you taking?
Before I answer this question, do we know the status of Ryan Gauld?
He's back in training.
He's back in training.
He's back in full training.
Then
he does this nonsense like every month. He's like, oh, he's back in full training again. Oh, no, he's not.
I'm going to assume that he is back in training, and if that's the case, I'm going to take Vancouver, and with the game in hand they have.
Okay. Jeremy?
I know which team I'm not taking, and it is Vancouver, because even though Gauld might be going back in training, Renko Veselinovic just tore his ACL this weekend. And if we're talking about underrated players in this league, I think it's really hard to find a more underrated center back than Veselinovic. So that's a huge loss for them. Huge, huge, huge loss. Ukvik is not going to be able to make up for losing Veselinovic. So that's already a huge downgrade, their center back position. And even if Gauld does come back, they did just sign Kenji Cabrera, who's the Pedro Vite replacement. Don't know what we haven't seen him yet, so we don't know how good he is. But Vancouver's been dealing with the heaviest legs all year. You know who else has been dealing with really heavy legs? The Seattle Sounders. Because they refuse, Schmetzer, in his classic Spirit of the Ocean stubbornness, has refused to give Obed Vargas or Christian Roldan any sort of rest since Club World Cup. That's going to bite them in the ass. Like, I'm very, 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 confident that that's going to bite them in the ass at some point. Because they went from actually having a pretty deep central midfield pool of players to pull from to all of a sudden, there's only 3 or 4 guys here. And one of those guys is João Paulo, who, although he doesn't have a torn ACL, he does have a very serious knee injury. And then behind him, it's just Danny Leyva, who's kind of a 10. So, and they don't have Josh Atencio anymore because he's a Colorado Rapid. So the Sounders are very, very, very thin at the most important part of the field for them, which is central mid. San Diego, of course, seems like they could make a good run, but once again, they're an expansion team. If you win the West as an expansion team, you just have to pray to God that you avoid Sporting Kansas City in the first round. And then that's why I still think it's Minnesota. I'm with Juanners here. Like that style should work in the playoffs, but once again, they just can't concede first. And also, they can't score first. It's weird. It's weird. Like they're both so solid but once there's a first goal and they don't immediately respond with a goal, they are kind of screwed. And then LAFC, just fill your DP slots already. You know you're not going to keep Dilrosun. You know 100% you're not going to do it. You just need a guy. You need a body to play Portland this weekend. Just fill your DP slots and be smart about it.
Joss?
Dude, I'm I'm looking. It's just so funny how different the top 4 teams in the West versus the East are, and just how much better I think the top 4 teams in the East are compared to the teams in the West.
Yeah.
The East is really, really a meat grinder.
I think now is it's usually like the East is kind of better. I would have had very valid arguments in the past, but this year the West is definitely not as strong. But proceed, sir.
No, you're good, because it's making my decision so, like, I felt so inclined towards Nashville. I don't feel anything towards these Western teams. San Diego, expansion team. They don't know what it's like to play in the playoffs. A lot of their players have not been in MLS before. And we saw what happens with St. Louis. Vancouver seems like they're kind of running out of gas here, and they just lost Veselinovic to an ACL injury. Minnesota, like, I think that their play style probably suits the playoffs the best, if they can get over not conceding. But, like, I don't know. Is it, if it's there? And then Seattle, a lot of what Jeremey said, especially about how much depth they lack at the center midfield position. Plus, they just lost Jordan Morris again. It's hard for me to make an argument for them. And so I'm looking like the Timbers. Can I bring the Timbers into this conversation at all? I feel more inclined by them than I do a lot of the most of the top 4 teams. For the sake of how and why, I think they have the best vibes right now. But also, I think DaCosta is probably he's up there for me. In terms of, like, I know he's hurt right now, but in terms of, like, his impact on the team and on games as a whole, I think that he is one of the most brilliant players at just having an impact. And when his team needs him, he steps up. That's a lot of it for me. But then you get past that, especially in the defensive zone, and it gets a little sketchier. I think for the sake of this conversation, I think I'm probably going to have to go with San Diego, because a lot of what they've shown on the field is great. My only drawbacks for them are how new they are to the league, how new a lot of their players are to the league. But on the field, especially with Anders Dreyer, Irving Lozano, Cherkskov, please cut that out. They're 6. A lot of the players in San Diego and the team as a whole has proven to be very, very, very good, very well coached, and able to deal with some pressure, because, like, all of the pressure of the playoffs is different. The pressure of performing so well as an expansion team still exists, and they've shown that they can handle that with ease. So I'm going to go with San Diego here. Also, it's just a different answer. So for me, it's San Diego.
Daniel, who'd you pick again? Did you say Vancouver?
I picked Vancouver.
I don't want to poo-poo the Veselinovic move too much, because they do have Bilal Halbouni. It's his time, guys. What a major MLS name there. Let's talk about it. I mean, we talked about San Diego and Vancouver. They actually had a top of the West battle. Vancouver not able to get revenge after San Diego just decimated them 5-3 on the road, all coming from Milan Oloski. And man, for San Diego to lose Milan Oloski here, it's kind of a rough one. I wanted to share with you guys, because I'm in this little betting Discord. Somebody had a San Diego MLS Cup winner futures bet, and they were like, should I hold on to it? I said, yeah, hold on to it, because this is what I said about the game. Tonight will say a lot. They play Vancouver, who were top of the West until they played in CONCACAF Champions Final, and have had their confidence shaken. After their final, they lost a bunch of starters to the international tournaments and are only just now getting their full-strength team back from injury. And this was before the Ranko news, right? So kind of a little blip there. But they play San Diego, who went to Vancouver and smacked them 5-3. Vancouver wants some revenge, but if San Diego do well, they have every reason to be the Western Conference favorite. Really jarring to say, given how quickly expansion teams implode when the lights are brightest. I think you should cash this after the first round. Maybe asterisk if it's SKC. I don't think they would. I don't think they would be. I don't think they would be able to dominate as well in a final against Eastern Conference teams, so just be wary of the late stages of the season, especially without Olofsky. They don't have a set starter at the 9, so could be a downturn in form, but they have been good thus far. I don't expect them to crash out. So, I mean, how's the analysis? Are we thinking the same thing here for San Diego? Because, I agree with Josh. Like, a lot of the play has just been really good, and Varys has definitely made me from a doubter into a believer. I still think there's a lot to Jesper Sorensen's aura that he could kind of muster up. I mean, San Diego had some center back issues too. They had Manu Dua in at center back because both McVeigh and McNair Paddy McNair were injured. But any other what are we thinking on San Diego, fellas? I know Noah Joss kind of has them as their de facto favorite, but anybody would want to touch on them, or Vancouver, honestly?
San Diego is talented enough and scary enough that as the East. This is what I'll say about San Diego, because I'm about to say something probably a little absurd, but I think they will implode in the MLS Cup. So when I say that, hey, these guys are legitimate contenders for the Shield, it's truly because I think the East is going to start eating itself alive here in the last stretch after the Leagues Cup here. So, I mean, just like talent for talent, position for position, especially in that attack, they are loaded. Now, they need a striker. Are they going to go out and buy a striker? Or are they going to roll out Thomas Angel every week? That's really the question that needs to be answered, because you're losing goals there. But if they go out and get a striker this summer, they absolutely can be the best team in the West. The only reason why I didn't pick them and I picked Vancouver over them is because they don't currently have a true starting quality MLS striker right now. But they are scary, especially out wide, their width. They are just so talented on both sides of the field, and they have a solid midfield. So it's really hard to not like them. Was it the beginning of this year where they were rolling Valakari out there at striker?
Yes.
What are the odds they go back to that?
Well, they need Godoy back. Godoy's been injured. So I think it helps if you have someone like Godoy that could carry a lot of the defensive load, and Valakari can go do Valakari things, right? But it's really dependent, because Valakari is a center mid at the end of the day. I don't think that's the solution they need, but I think it's. I really want to believe in the Thomas Angel hype. Is anyone else I don't know. There's something about it. I can't help but root for the guy, but I think he's just very, very mid.
I thought he was going to be really, really good when he came up through LAFC's academy, but since then my opinions have changed when I've actually watched him play. So I don't buy the hype, but I saw the potential when he was with LAFC. So maybe he'll prove us wrong.
My bigger question is, for everyone saying they need to go sign a striker, are you just giving up on Ingvartsen already?
He's injured.
He has been hurt for a while, but I feel like I feel like it's a worthwhile gamble to wait for him to get back.
Well, how many goals has he scored?
He scored 1 goal in 6 games, but he's been hurt. And in those 6 games, he started 5 of them. But he has already racked up 2.3 XG on 12 shots. So I think that San Diego system, which is just going to keep those chances coming for him, I think it's worth just taking a back seat, saying maybe we don't need a big money striker this summer. We just need to beef up probably the center back room and get another body for central midfield, because that's what you need if you're going to be a team that's expecting to go deep in the playoffs. You need strong players on your spine. I don't think the striker is that. But once again, they absolutely should have been able to keep Olofsky. That's their own fault.
I don't even think, with the nature of how the transfer windows changed with the cash cash trades that they do now. Like I don't even think that they need to go off and get a big name guy. They just need to get a starting quality guy, whether that's going to be in Varston, who could be addition by subtraction, like kind of like how Anthony is for Portland. Like, hey, he's back and healthy. That's as good as an inbound transfer, but we don't know enough about him.
I got a guy.
I don't. Who's the guy?
If I'm in that San Diego room, I'm saying you go out and get Preston Judd.
Hell yes. I love Preston Judd.
I am also a huge Preston Judd fan, but my suggestion, like when I was thinking like, oh, cash transfer market, like Kai Kamara, baby, like get him into another jersey.
No.
But like no, Judd,
I love him at Cincinnati though.
Judd is a smart pick for it, but like I think he's too valuable to San Jose unless like I think that any deal to sign Preston Judd would inevitably be an overpay that San Diego, that at least that the Quakes would agree to.
I don't know, man. I mean, we'll talk about it with the Quakes here because the Heritage Cup. But I think if you're gonna go cash for players, that's one player I would go for because he's still behind. He's still not getting. I mean, right now he would be a perfect fill-in for what they need, but like you said, like it would be a kind of short-sighted move to just go out and spend big without addressing the rest of the needs because looking at this sheet, they only made one sub, and that was Emmanuel Boateng coming in for Mr. Angel, right? And so it's like, yeah, it's one thing to have your main starting guys, but I mean this team's also without Willie Kumado. They got bailed out thanks to Oscar Veerhoven, another San Jose guy, I may add. So they have done business there, but they have Veerhoven in for Kumado, who's been injured. Bombino has really taken the spot ahead of Franco Negri, but beyond that, like they don't have much depth as their subs have shown, right? So I think filling out the depth, they just lost Jasper Loffelson, who mutually agreed to terminate their contract there. But like depth for me is big for San Diego, whereas Vancouver, I think has like slowly shown the depth. You know what I mean? Like, and I think part of that could be just how good Sorensen's system is as well. But Vancouver, of course, I think they're just navigating this Champions hangover, Gunka Champions loss hangover, kind of, it's not been perfect, but how are you feeling about Vancouver? I know they lost Renko, but guys, Bilal Halbouni's right there. Come on. We're not rating Bilal Halbouni?
I need to see more of him. I can't just immediately assume he's going to be good just because Jesper Sorensen's in charge.
I'm a Halbouni fan, so let him when he makes the first bad pass out of the bag, we'll come back to this moment. But I really like him. I can't help but root for him, especially Laborda, who can also play as a center back. I think Ryan Gauld is that. If he's good, this team can be good. I think they're finally starting to like crack without him. But you guys have any other thoughts here on Vancouver?
Yeah, am I the only one? And this is kind of like a panel question, but am I the only one who's like of the mind that an away draw against a top 4 team in the West is as good as a win? Like this was a win for Vancouver, right?
They were leading though.
Because of an own goal.
That's true. But then, I mean, Brian White could have put it away. I don't know. Do you guys see that like really bad miss from him? He had like,
I put all bad Brian White misses out of my head.
No,
he had no bad misses.
This one was bad, guys. It was an open net. No excuses.
I'm calling the FBI on you.
It would have been 2-0. That's what I'm saying, though.
How dare you? How dare you?
I implore you to watch it because if there's anyone you should be calling the FBI on, it's Brian White. He had the unders for sure, but
I stand by that statement. What is Brian White up to? We gotta find that out.
All right, chill.
Hey, those New
That's the
Jersey
homie.
Cats are built different, right?
Oh,
They're also missing Ali Ahmed. Once he comes back, I think this team finds its rhythm. I really do. And the defense, here's where I think it's funny. Ralph Priso, and he's not a player you want to like build around, but he comes in and he has some steady games for this team sometimes. Like it shocks me, right? And he's not a player you want out there because he did start against Cruz Azul and got torched. But like if Sorensen can just get the bare minimum, like defensively good things out of this team, like I don't know. I still rate Vancouver. I don't know if that's just because I'm still enamored by them, but any other thoughts?
You still want to see Sorensen win Coach of the Year.
I do. Well, and the East is making it hard. So I think if there's anyone that deserves a Coach of the Year more now than anything, if we want to get into that conversation, I think it's BJ Callahan, who has sparked a 4-2-2 revolution within the U.S. because as we'll see, a lot of teams have adopted it, but none have done it as well as BJ. But what do y'all think? Are we still? How are we feeling about Sorensen in these conversations now? And I was very passionate about it early on in the season. I still am, but what's the fella's take on Sorensen so far?
I mean, this is where he earns his keep, right? He's just lost his starting center back. Pedro Vite's been sold. They're kind of going through a skid. They've got the massive albatross of the CONCACAF Champions League kind of weighing them down. A good coach gets him out of this. So if he needs to be able to he needs to prove himself. He needs to earn his stripes. I think a lot of the first half of the season was people being surprised by Vancouver and how good they were. Now that Vancouver are being taken as seriously as we think they should be, can they continue to improve? Can they continue to push the boundaries of Whitecaps history? Some would say. I don't know. For me, Mikey Veras has done a lot in San Diego that makes me think, hey, this guy might have to win Coach of the Year for what he's done.
Yeah. There's like a big four. It's like Mikey Veras, Jesper Sorensen, BJ Callahan, and Bradley Carnell.
I was going to say Carnell.
Any four of them could win it, and I would not be upset.
Any other final thoughts here, fellas? We're ready to move on to the last OTB match.
Let's move on.
Let's move on because after, our hypothetical Montreal, it's only fair that we just keep tabs on this team that looks more and more like the wooden spoon contender if the Galaxy have any say in it. But Montreal, man, like they got Prince Owusu, still really good. But in this one, no goals for them, 2-0. They just got a new young center back, Efrain Morales. Not what they need. I did see Sirawa is moving on, and they got a fourth, another goalkeeper coming in. Again, not what they need. If I'm Montreal, and you're just gonna say fuck it, we're gonna spend, but we want to make use of the league mechanisms. Go and get Lucho Acosta, bro. Because Lucho is we'll talk about Dallas when we get there, but it's funny that, like, of all the teams that just go get Luciano Acosta and he'll fix your team, Dallas was the last team I'd say needed a Luciano Acosta in their field. Montreal, though, I feel like they're just missing a 10. They're missing somebody there. Another just bad match. And Chicago, guys, like, they are getting all their wins on the road here. This is exactly a kind of win you need after a bad spell. But we talked about this, right? Like, Chicago came up against like all the tough teams here, right? They came against San Diego, came up against Cincinnati. That draw to Atlanta was kind of meh, but I mean, a win here is good for them. Right now, they are 1 point behind the Red Bulls, 3 behind New York City FC and Charlotte there. So the East have some dogs there. What do you guys make of this one?
Part of me thinks, like, what if Donadell's just saying, fuck it, I want to try a 3-back at the back end of the season, and that's why they went out and got Morales. Could you imagine a 3-back of Neal, Craig, and Morales? I mean, how many goals would they give up? Because, like, why else would they go out and get Morales?
I like Morales. Well, they lost Campbell. And Campbell came from Atlanta, so if they're trying to replicate the little center back, I guess if you're second choice at Atlanta, you're going to be first choice at Montreal and have a great spell of games. Because I did rate Campbell and I do rate Morales. Like, this one puzzles me for Atlanta more than it does for Montreal, because I know they don't need him, but like, if you were to offer me Morales for that much, like, I think they spent like 600 to 700K on him. Like, Morales is good. I rate him. I don't know how y'all are feeling about him, but I don't mind the move. But
can I just be the first to congratulate Efrain Morales on joining West Brom in 3 years? I'm on board with that, but I'd like to take off that Luciano Acosta point because I love it, and I think Luciano Acosta should be our first DP for the hypothetical Montreal team. I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to do. You need a new DP10 in MLS. If we're putting Miles Robinson in at center back with Eric Quill as the head coach, you know what? Luciano Acosta and Eric Quill, it seems to work out pretty well. let's make Lucho the first DP signing. But in all seriousness, the Chicago Fire, guys, they are making these playoffs. They are 100% making these playoffs. I like there is so much to love about this Chicago team. And the most important part is, you know who they got back in this game? And yes, once again, caveat is it's Montreal, but Romanige Kouame was back for this game. Yes. And they win 2-0 and they keep a clean sheet. Yes, once again, it's Montreal. I feel like I have to keep prefacing that with every single statement here. But this Chicago Fire team, as they're currently constructed, is still a playoff team. Could they probably go for another center back? Yes, 100%. They brought in 36-year-old Omar Gonzalez off the bench, and he did have an amazing game. But once again, caveat, it's Montreal.
It's not hypothetical Montreal, though. Like, I feel like our Montreal would have a better chance, but proceed.
Yeah, I feel like and also another thing to note in this game, they brought Jonathan Bamba off the bench. Bamba, by the way, I think he's going through a bit of a cold stretch. He hasn't recorded a goal involvement since June 7th. That doesn't matter, though. I mean, it would be nice if he was putting more away. Philip Zinkernagel has been carrying the load. And he's been carrying the load think about this. Just based on raw counting numbers, he has 17 goal involvements in 21 games. Zinkernagel does. That's 10 goals and 7 assists. I'm not even looking at the secondary assist nonsense because MLS is not very consistent about counting those. So I feel like you have kind of like a fringe MVP candidate in Zinkernagel. You have one of the best strikers in the league in Kuipers. If those offers come in for Brian Gutierrez, I'd probably try to accept those and get try and get another attacking minded midfielder. Like, this Chicago Fire team is good. And also, they have a really good young right back named Leonardo Barroso. So, I am so bought in on the idea of the Chicago Fire team being a playoff team. And I don't think anyone can convince me otherwise.
So, who are they getting in over? Both the New York teams or Charlotte? Which one?
Red Bulls.
Red Bulls.
100% Red Bulls.
Okay.
Damn.
I can get behind that.
The Revolution, I just seen this, are 7 points behind the Fire. It really is going to come down to the Fire, Red Bulls, and I think everything from 6 down. I know Orlando are a rather strong team. They had a really bad spell that kind of put them in the mix here, but I'm with Jeremy, man, and I have been just so Chicago pilled. I love the roster build this year. There's still some players you got to cut. Kellen Acosta kind of sliding more and more out of the rotation here. I don't know where he goes from here. Maybe SKC. How are we feeling?
That man screams Seattle Sounders.
Really?
He's another like USMNT player that everyone hated. He's going to the Seattle Sounders, but they're not going to be brave enough to pull the trigger on that because Hanauer is broke. Did I say that?
I think LAFC is calling his name.
Really? You wouldn't take him at SKC?
No, I would. I really would. I think he's better than Radoya.
Yes, that's where I was going to go with it. But
yeah, but I think he already kind of rejected us when he moved to Chicago originally.
Oh,
like we were in
I
for
did
him
not know
before.
that.
Yeah, he was a free agent. One of them. We had talks with him, but he kind of rejected. Chicago gave him more money, which I understand. But yeah, also maybe Cincinnati would be a good shot for him too. I just feel like he would look good in the blue and orange. And it'd be
because he's still a player, but I just don't think it. I don't think his time at Chicago has been all that special outside of a amazing goal against Montreal of all teams last year in that windy ass scorcher from all the way, from far beyond the 3-point line. But yeah, I'm with Jeremy when it comes to Rummenigge Kouame because he's been injured, but to see him actually step in and like prove that he is that guy, I like it. I love this roster build. Maybe even a better 6, but Pineda is like filled in really well. And I think this is Pineda's like coming out season because he's steadily been kind of just their 6th there ahead of Acosta. So I'm Chicago pilled through and through. I feel like I picked this team. I picked this game because the Eastern Conference, like the Rapids, don't see much of these teams. These two teams would be like number 1 and number 2 on my like supporter if I was an Eastern Conference fan. You know what I mean? Like if I was on the East, if there's an Eastern Juanners out there, he'd be a Montreal or Chicago fan. But yeah.
Would he have to? Would Eastern Juanners live somewhere that doesn't have an MLS team already? Like
maybe.
In this hypothetical situation, because I just feel like you would be a fan of whatever team you're closest to, but like. Would you live in New Orleans or something?
Well, I only equate it because of the agony of being a Rapids fan, if that makes sense. Like,
okay.
Like the most direct comparisons are a team that has not made the playoffs in 7 years and a team that does not spend on their DPs. So it's like these two I understand heavily here when it comes to just the vibes. Like these are very Juanners vibes teams, I think. But
is now a good time for some breaking news?
Oh, you got some breaking news? Is this a skills challenge?
Yeah. Yeah, can we get a breaking news, guys? Evander and Anders Dreyer just did the one-touch challenge together, and it was one of the worst performances I've ever seen, and Evander looked like he was ready to kill Anders Dreyer. Like, legitimately, like he hates that he's here and that he just did that.
Well,
and now he's gonna...
He hates when people score. Other people score.
I mean, neither one of them scored, and you could like tell like they were fighting with each other over like the passes they were giving each other. Like, it was fucking electric. You guys just missed a fucking screamer of classic Evander.
You know what? I've heard nothing but good things coming from Evander in Cincinnati, that he is a model teammate. So I, for one, do not believe you, Daniel.
Sure, yeah, whatever. Say what you want.
Fellas, let's go to St. Louis here. Daniel, they traveled to Dallas. Got trounced 3-0. One of the worst records in their last 5 right now. St. Louis, it's tough because like Timo Baumgartel gets back into the 11 and then just is lazy, has a very poor performance here, and running out of ways in so many ways to say, oh, well, St. Louis, like I don't even know what they need a coach. They need decisions. It feels like no one's at the wheel right now for this team. But what do you make of St. Louis here?
This is just one of those teams that I can't believe that we are still saying is somehow in the hunt for a playoff spot. Like, they're not mathematically eliminated yet from a playoff spot. So therefore we have to continue to say that they're in the hunt. But then you watch them week in and week out, and they are just atrocious outside of that Portland result, which was ridiculous and anomaly for how bad this team really is. And we know people who listened last week know Jeremy's thoughts on it, and it was all Portland's fault. And to be fair, it probably was, because this team is horrible. Not even horrible. Sorry, horrible's not even like the right word, because they do have pieces. But I mean, at this point, like, what is a João Klaus? Like, and how is he getting rumors that he's going to go to Gremio? Did anyone else see that? Like,
Brazil.
I don't understand. I don't understand what this team is trying to accomplish. I don't understand how they are this poor with all the money they spent last year on new incoming signings that were supposed to be, like, even on paper, even if they're coming from the Bundes too, like, we looked at them and they said, oh, yeah, these are good signings. These are guys that should be able to hang in the MLS. And Tuchert has not played well. Hartel is like a week-by-week case at this point. And then their back line's giving up 3 goals to Peter Musa. Like, what are we doing here? And that's not a knock on Peter Musa. He's a great player, but like, FC Dallas has had their own run of problems this entire year. Like, this was the kind of game that, hey, you're supposed to go and maybe get a point because both teams are struggling, and then you're able to kind of rebound and take advantage of the good result you had against Portland. So I don't know. I don't know how you spin this optimistically for St. Louis fans, and I don't really know if St. Louis fans themselves are trying to spin this optimistically anymore. You're right. They need a coach. They need a coach, and they probably need a clean slate. I think they're still riding high off the good push they had in 2022, and since then they haven't made the right changes to stay where they need to be. I will say this is probably the worst performance I've seen from Roman Berkey since he's been in the league, but you can't really blame that on him because he doesn't really have a line there to defend them, and he's kind of getting old. So it's just it is what it is. We mentioned this 2 weeks ago, and we'll get here because we're gonna talk about Dallas soon anyway. But from a St. Louis perspective, we talked about, hey, Dallas's only home field advantage is summer nights in Frisco. I feel like St. Louis got summer nights in Frisco, and that's a good way to describe this game.
Yeah, for St. Louis,
you get summer nights. No. The point of the summer night in Frisco is like you're a good team that goes down there. If you're just a bad soccer team and you lose in Frisco on the summer night, you didn't get summer night in Frisco. You just stink.
You just stink. That's a good. I know what. I'll take that. Refute on the chin and not even argue it because they stink.
I think if you look at how FC Dallas have played in the last few home games, they've played like they've got, like they were on the wrong end of the FC Dallas, like a hot night FC Dallas, a hot night in Frisco, right? Like FC Dallas have routinely been a very, very poor home team, and they needed this home win. I mean, I guess we'll talk to Dallas, right? I mean, any other St. Louis takes, like I hate the roster build, and that's like really what it comes down to. But any other takes on St. Louis? Because I could go on about Dallas.
Can I just really quickly talk about the big stats from this game? St. Louis had 66% possession. They had 16 shots, 0.67 xG. Only 2 of them were on target. Dallas, 34% of the ball, 2.13 xG, 16 shots, 10 on target. That's really, really funny.
That is really, really funny. That feels like a Minnesota stat line.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're as bad as, this is the thing, like Dallas have given up the ball at home. And teams that are good with it punish them. And that's why I'm like, I would take nothing from this game because this was a game without Luciano Acosta. And it looks like Acosta might be on the way out. I don't think I saw that. He hasn't played anything. And we know the kind of player he is where he may force a move here, but I'm like, if you're any MLS team, yes, I know my little sign is just get Luciano Acosta. But I mean, if he's gonna have a repeated like crash out at teams where he's like, even when he like returned to Cincinnati, he was like, yeah, I don't know why they booed. Like, I brought a lot to this team. It's like, bro, look inward. Look at how you left. So what are your thoughts here, guys? Like, is this team better without Luciano Acosta? I would have said yes at the beginning of the season, and I would have said yes now.
I'm saying yes. It's almost like, do you know how we used to have discussions about Evander at Portland? It was like, hey, he's a selfish player. They're better off without him. Go get the guys you need. It's the same exact way that Luciano Acosta feels at, and I hate comparing those two players, but they're always going to be synonymous with each other because they replace each other. But that's the way Luciano Acosta feels at Dallas. And Peter Musa even feels happier without him on the field. Like, he was actually really, really fun to watch, and he's getting more touches, and they're taking more shots, and they were better in granted it's St. Louis, but they were significantly better in transition than I've seen them play all season. And that's supposed to be the guy who's supposed to get you there. So, I mean, we don't know what happens behind the scenes, but if history is an indicator, then he's got to be like the worst teammate in the MLS. And if he's on his way out, I don't know who wants him right now, outside of maybe a Montreal. Or Toronto,
Argentina.
Yes, that's what I think.
Still open, yeah.
But if he's out, then he's probably going back home because that's what he was trying to do when he was at Cincinnati originally, anyway.
Curse you, MLS mechanisms.
Just weird vibes from that guy, man. But yes, I do believe FC Dallas is better without him. And if he's on his way out, the question is, does FC Dallas go off and sign an actual 10? Like someone who actually fits the system and how they want to play.
They need center backs, bro. They need center backs. They need fullbacks because Osaze Urugide is available now, but he's still got to rebuild his fitness. And any game without, like, if you don't get him a solid partner to shore up that back line, it doesn't matter who the 10 is. Like, I think Acosta failing is more, it's like a mix of him and of FC Dallas's just decision to be like, yeah, maybe we should just play with a 10, and they did not need to at all. But
you can get a DP10 and then still spend TAM money on decent center backs, though, right?
Did you not believe in Alvaro Augusto?
No, I don't.
That was a really fast no.
I want to see more of him. He did get the start. Well, yeah, he got the start here, but maybe got to see more of him. Before I make up my mind. But I kind of have him on par with Abubakar, like same level. Maybe that's tremendously down, not rating Alvaro Augusto, but I'm not going to rate anyone on Dallas. That's a trap there. Let's move on. Got Dallas out the way. Let's go over to Sporting Kansas City, who welcomed New York City. We'll stay on SKC for Joss here, but what is the news on SKC? Because I certainly have my thoughts here, but I would like to hear from the main wizard himself.
I think we still have to work on that nickname, but I did things a little differently for my notes for this week. I gave myself 3 takeaways from this game that I'm going to share with you guys. 2 of them are SKC related. Well, actually, one of them is SKC related, and that's John Pulskamp. My God, this guy is unbelievable. He's such a good keeper, and I've really enjoyed watching him be as good as he's been this season. I really think, like, even though we're not a good team, we'd be a lot worse without John Pulskamp and his shot stopping abilities. So that's one of the takes. The other one's NYCFC related, so I'll save that for them. And then the third one is there anything worse than playing out a 1-1 on a horrendously humid night in Kansas City, Kansas? And I don't know if there is. I really don't know if there is. Maybe a 0-0 on a terribly horrendous night, but that's really close. So I just think, like, a lot of the SKC players just look devoid of any energy. They really don't look like they're driving on and trying to get to this playoff spots. And I know that's That's not the case, obviously, because of course they want to make the playoffs, but it just doesn't look like it. It just doesn't look like they have that fire that I think that they need to climb up the table and grab more points. In this game on Saturday, it was the 15th different combo at the back for SKC this season. 15th. Is that good? Everyone knows about a team. Yeah, we all know a team that consistently mixes and matches at the most crucial area of the championship, right? We can all name one, right? Right?
Yeah, sure.
Cincinnati.
Okay. Cincinnati. The thing is, they are able to bring in like Miles Robinson,
Right.
and we bring in Andrew Brody,
Hey,
a guy who did start this game.
That's fan club Andrew Brody, by the way. You know.
True. Big Andrew Brody fan. I'm a big Andrew Brody fan. I mean, I don't know much about him, but I think he's fine. Anyway, I was watching this game. I actually was watching this game on my phone while I was with my girlfriend's family, and I think that dedication needs to be rewarded. I hate doing it, though, because it makes me feel like I'm being rude, and also I hate having to explain how dog shit we are, and also I don't know why I'm watching them, because it usually goes like, hey, who are you watching? SKC? Oh my god, we're losing. Why are you watching? I've had that conversation so many times, and it's like, I don't know how to explain that this team has given me so much joy, just not recently. Onto the game, though. Like I said, John Polskamp, unbelievable. I think he should probably be getting national team look-ins. I'm a big fan of just his shot-stopping ability, and I really think that he's commanded the box a lot better than he has in his previous years at Sporting KC. Radoya, we talked about earlier, Juan. Yikes. Leave the game before the game leaves you. I mean, he's been shunted out of his position by a 19-year-old Jacob. Like, if that's anything to go by. There were times in this game where I saw Radoya in the left channel putting in crosses. I don't know. What's he doing there? Go home, man. What are you doing there? Fernandez is another one where I'm like, yikes. This guy's our center back. We signed him last summer. I think he's played like 11 games. He's gotten hurt a lot. Quintessential Vermes signing, if I'm being honest. Not a fan. Not a fan of Fernandez. Jansen Miller, my guy. Of course, we love Jansen Miller here. Big fan of Jansen Miller. But yeah, I don't know what Kerry Zavagnin was thinking with this lineup, if I'm being honest. I think that the midfield was a mess. Bartlett, Radoya, Manu Garcia, it just doesn't work. I'm still wondering why Jake Davis is not starting. I really think that if we're in the business end of this season where where we need fire, we need players that obviously care, that want to do well, we need players like Jake Davis to be getting meaningful minutes. And he's been appearing as a sub the last few games. I don't know if he's still carrying. If he is, then I'm sorry, but like let's load him up with whatever drugs we can find in Nebraska and throw him out on the field. This guy needs to be starting. Either in the midfield, I think that's his best position, or even at right back, because our right back is either him or Kyrie Shelton or Andrew Brody. And I really miss when we had a good, serviceable right back that we could turn to. Graham Zusi, for example. Chance Myers, my guy. Real ones remember. But yeah, I think that this game was kind of a bit of a nothing burger. I'm sorry for talking so much about a nothing burger, but for SKC, I'm looking for that fire. I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing a lot of individuals perform well. I'm just not seeing the team perform as well as it needs to be. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, my SKC take is anytime Jake Davis is not starting, I instantly turn off all interest of watching any SKC. And for another week, this dude did not start, and I'm like, well, like this is either. I mean, I'm not shocked when SKC don't get a result without him in the starting 11. You know, because I do think that guy's a stud and could be a very, very good box for SKC, and he's just I don't know, like what is going on? Like, is this being Zavagnin?
I guess. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I really haven't heard if he's being a dick in training. I haven't heard if he's got an injury. I really don't know. And I'm kind of the same way, where it's like I just he's kind of like a Roger Espinoza replacement in that he's a dog and he covers a lot of ground and he can pick a pass every once in a while. And like I miss watching that version of SKC where teams just hated playing us because we just kicked the hell out of them. But yeah, also another thing, NYCFC probably should have had a penalty at the end. And Dembe fouled the hell out of Musu. I can't believe that wasn't called. In a league where penalties are dubious at best sometimes, that felt like a stone cold. He pushed him in the back, but that's just my 2 cents. Yeah, I'm the same way though. If Jake Davis isn't, no Davis, no party.
Yeah, Musu's no Buanga, as we all know.
Mm-hmm.
Let's head over to the East with Atlanta United, another Gafferani masterclass, losing 3-2 in front of Charlotte at home. Nonetheless, we'll get to Charlotte when we get to Charlotte. But Daniel, I gave you this one because there was a lot of chirp online from Atlanta fans. I can't be the only one on the podcast that saw the Atlanta puffing of their chest. They got Miggy back. They got Latte Lath coming in. They have Saba. They tricked us, but we amended that, of course, on the mid-season premiere. So we don't gotta hold ourselves to that anymore. We sold all the Atlanta stock. We crashed the market there for them. But Daniel, how did it feel seeing Charlotte just beat this Atlanta team who have waived one of their DPs? Mateus Click officially.
They're down to 4 DPs, baby. Let's go. Jeremy bullied him out of one of their 5 DPs. I love that. The chirping is just like a product of, this rivalry that's been manufactured due to proximity. You see a lot of Atlanta fans on social media say that Charlotte is probably one of the most overhyped teams in the league, which, to be fair, when they were saying this stuff at the beginning of the season, it turned out they were kind of right. But it just feels like Atlanta has lost any semblance of home field advantage that they seem to have. Their back line is horrible. That second half, as a Charlotte fan, it was gorgeous to watch. But as an Atlanta fan, you have to watch that second half and just think, what the fuck just happened? And what does Gafferani say in this locker room? Because I saw a statistic that said over 30% of the goals that get scored on Orlando. Why do I keep saying that? Oh my God. That gets scored on Atlanta happened between the 45th and the 60th minute. So what the fuck is happening in that locker room? Honestly. And there are moments, I think it's been proven just time in, time out when Almiron is healthy that he plays significantly better centrally. I actually thought Marinchuk had some really good moments in this game as well. He had a beautiful backheel pass that ended up being an assist to Latte Lath. I thought Mayumba actually played really, really well this game, and he found himself on the end of some really dangerous balls in their third. And there are times where, and don't get me wrong, I think Latte last goal was kind of lucky, but there are times when you watch him play off the ball and in the box, and you think this guy could be really, really dangerous on the right team in the MLS. But those are just individual performances in a team game, and from a team game perspective, these guys, they stink. There's no other way to put it. They can't handle pressure. And this is the second time I said that. I'm putting them in the St. Louis category, and they have considerably more talent than St. Louis does. But they can't handle pressure, and that's how Charlotte was able to just absolutely, for lack of better words, beat the living piss out of them in the second half. They just broke down under pressure time and time and time again. And a lot of that comes from having a really, really poor back line. A lot of that comes from Brad Guzan just kind of being past it, and the project of the Hibbert project should probably start at this point. I actually liked his game this past week when he played, but yeah, we'll get to Charlotte. Because I really like the lineup they rolled out, and I really liked how they changed the game that second half. Clearly, they changed the way they played, but you got to ask yourself should we fire Gafferani at this point if we're Atlanta United fans? Because the underlying numbers for how they play in the second half are against them. And to do that against a team that's supposed to be a rival at home just shows that he just doesn't have it. maybe he never did. Maybe, I mean, we talked about that run he had with NYCFC and how it might have been lucky, but yeah, I mean, it was lucky because of COVID. But yeah, no, this Atlanta team's just not very good.
Yeah, and it's really funny to watch them lose. I can't lie. I do get a kick out of seeing them just continue, because you said it earlier, like in the season, like how do we turn around Atlanta? And your first thought is, and I remember it because I was trying to make a clip of this, and you said, first thing, fire Gaffer Ronnie. He's got to go. And like they didn't listen to you. So since then, I mean, it's been this, right? So
it's just, how do you give up 30 to 35% of your goals from the minutes 45 to 60 after you are making all of the changes that are supposed to help you win a game? Like, is he just not making any changes at all? Like, that's the question that I like need to have answered. Is he just going out saying, you know what, the first half was fine, let's just not change a single thing, and then everyone's just switching stuff up on him, and then he's being left with like egg on his face where he's just like, oh no, I fucked up again. Like that's
well,
just,
Daniel, this time he did make a halftime change. He subbed off Efrain Morales.
oh my God, dude, that was so funny.
Too.
And right after the game, they announced his transfer, and everyone was like, well, did the transfer go in like in the middle of the first half? That was so funny. Oh, but even then, like, just good God, man. Like, I just don't get it.
Can I say one more quick thing about Atlanta that's just purely a Brad Guzan point? So since he's wearing this mask, it makes like his disappointed like expressions after they concede like 10 million times funnier. I don't know what it is. I think it was after Zaha's goal, which if I remember it correctly took like a pretty major deflection. He just looked like beside himself. He was kind of like Batmaning. Like he kind of looked like Batman for a second.
Like a little scowl. Yeah.
Yeah, he looked. I was like, this is so funny, man. Yeah, Atlanta is the purest meme team in MLS this year for the worst possible reasons. And maybe since like if we're attributing them jettisoning Click to me because I yelled at them for having 5 DPs and like having 6 shots against Toronto, you got to get rid of Ronnie. You know, like you gotta let him go at this point. It's clear that this is not working, even though there are serious issues with the roster build that I was somehow duped into thinking would actually be good. There's one constant, and it's the guy who's been unable to figure out anything. It's gotta be, you gotta go, Ronnie. You get him out of here.
You guys know the theory where if you were to take a bunch of chimpanzees, make them
Jesus.
Make them ageless. Make it so they can't die, right? Put them in a room with typewriters, and eventually they'll type out the work of Shakespeare, like a work of Shakespeare.
Yes.
Fully. I feel like do the same thing with Gaffarani, and he still wouldn't be able to put together a good starting 11.
I think getting rid of Click was, you know, to free up some cap space was the right move. I think we all think he was kind of past it, but
dude, but Daniel, he wasn't even taking up that much on the cap. He
wasn't
really
DC?
Wasn't
DC still paying
DC's cap?
Yeah, DC was still paying some of his salary, which makes it even funnier. But the center back situation, I mean, that's the center back and the fullback situation they have there has been probably the ultimate detriment to this team, and even if they do make moves to rectify it this summer, it's too little too late. Like, this team is just too far behind the 8 ball at this point. And what's easily the most condensed conference that I think I've ever seen in the MLS. So, yeah, no, just a complete disaster class and mismanagement of transfer fees, honestly, at this point, this Atlanta United team is. Also, you guys should there should be like a meme counter for how many times I called them Orlando. Just shows how irrelevant they are.
Funny how the tables have turned, right? Let's talk about Toronto, because I had Jeremey on this one, and you know, I don't think Toronto are the laughingstock that they kind of are, that the table has shown them to be, because they're now playing out of a 5-3-2, and despite losing, they kept it kind of close against Nashville. And I'm telling you guys, Theo Corbiano is a player that if they can build around, if Robin Fraser can get some, productive defensive midfield minutes from Matty Longstaff of all players. I mean, they went in there without Davey Flores, who's like a midfield commander for them, and still came out with I don't want to say came out with anything. It was a loss, but they didn't completely embarrass themselves. And I'm not trying to hype any team below Chicago at this point because I think, I think Toronto are better than New England at the very least. I could see Toronto making a push here, but Jeremy, Toronto takes. What are they? What do you got for us?
My Toronto takes start with the fact that I picked them to win the Spoon at the start of this year, and that wasn't even through like, oh, they're a laughing stock or whatever. It was just like this team stinks. They stink. Bernadeschi was like coming off somewhat of a good year last year. Insigne has been hilarious. He's the funniest part of this team. But shit.
God.
I know, right? The thing about this Toronto team is like I still haven't seen them like give up at all. Like despite having like Insigne, who was a huge drain, Bernadeschi, who didn't really give up. Oh my God, Joss. Just to inform the listeners, Joss just sent a gif of Waldorf and Statler from the Muppets with Toronto takes years off my life. Like there was no do ho 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 in the text, but you have to add it because it's Waldorf and Statler, heritage. Meanwhile, for Toronto, like I feel like they're still figuring this out. It's clear this is a lost season for them, but they're still trying. And Corbiani right now is on loan, so I feel like you have to exercise that. You have to find a way to get him here permanently next year. Because although I was very like grumpy based on what Toronto did to the Timbers a few weeks ago, I can understand this guy's a very good player. He's pretty fun to watch. And Fraser, no matter what, he hasn't given up either. He's been shifting between 4-3-3, 5-3-2. Like they're still just trying to find something to at least be competitive this year. Playoffs are still very much out of the question for them. And they also did not register a shot on target in this game, but they're still trying. You know what? Valiant effort, fair play. Nashville, meanwhile, is still very, very, very good. And like Sam Surridge is an XG farmer and he converts. Like 90% of his shots, I'm pretty sure, come within the 6-yard box. So that's a good sign of your system working. And he's been scoring a lot of them. He's up to 18 goals so far this year. However, it should be noted that 5 of those are from the penalty spot. But either way, like Nashville's still really good. This game doesn't really change any of my perceptions about either of these teams. But you gotta like give Toronto at least a little bit of a slow clap here.
Just a slow one. Just a slow one.
Yeah, just a slow. Nothing too respectful, but also like, hey, like I knew you were going to be bad this year. You haven't been shit, man. You haven't been as bad as I thought you would be. So fair play.
Let's move ahead to New England Revolution, who hosted Orlando, lost 1-2. What I will say about New England is I'm not going to convince myself about this team. I think it's time for Porter to go. If there's any player who's had as long a leash, or sorry, not player, if there's any coach that has had a long as leash as any in MLS, it is Caleb Porter, Leonardo Campana, and Langone. I mean, granted, and Campana just came off of how many did he score in the last game? Did he score 2? He scored a brace, and again at home, like Campana is not someone you want leading your line, and neither is Langoni. So to see them bench Chancalay here, like, I know it's in the middle of a midweek set of games, but Chancalay really is the only bright spot here. And if he's not playing with Carlos Gil, the team really have nothing here. I'm just kind of ready for a new look here because I do think in Peyton Miller and Eli Feingold, who finally started after both being in and out of the lineup these past few weeks, like, I think they are two of the most fun, young, dynamic wingbacks in the league. Like there's talent on this team. And part of me is like, well, like, Porter had his initial switch to the 5-3-2 here, the 5-2-1-2, whatever you want to call it, right? Where they have the wingbacks in play, but then without them, like, when you have to go with Brandon Bye as your wingback, and he's not as, spry as Feingold anymore, and if Feingold's not providing on the right, it's like, where do you really go after that? Yusuf and Polster, solid midfield anchors, but they're not moving the ball forward for you, And I still think Yusuf is a very, very good player. Like that's the thing that strikes me about this team is they've got the talent. They hit. I think it's very strange that they've hit on 2 foreign center backs starting in their first season together. We always said that it was going to be the follow-up year, right? But I'm kind of of the opinion that this is the end of the leash here. What are you guys thinking on New England? Like, I know Jeremy's very strong on them. Has a very, I guess not on them, but on Porter himself. But do you think it's a little premature before they go and win MLS Cup next year? Like, what are we doing here?
It's going to be a silly question on my end, but who are their 3 official DPs? Gil and who?
Chancalay, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Chancalay is a DP.
And then Campana, maybe?
I think Campana is, because he was a young DP in Miami.
If Campana's a young DP, they shouldn't just be looking to fire Porter. They need to fire their entire back office. Because
Kurt Analfo?
I mean,
yeah.
This roster build is just, I mean, I they do have talent. You're right when you say that, but like, they just have so many holes at the same time. Like, I can't just blame it all on Porter. They don't have an actual
DPs.
goal scorer.
Gil
Okay, so it's Gil and Chancalay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any U22s?
I think Feingold's a U22.
Feingold is, yeah.
He's pretty good.
And he is good. Like, I definitely like. They have Feingold, Langoni, who is kind of proven to be more of like a mech player. He's not that good in front of net. Not as his initially build. Because I remember when Langoni scored, when he first joined the team, he was on fire. Kind of like a little bit of the St. Louis effect where they were like scoring and looking good, but I mean, I don't know.
It just feels like they have a bunch of guys who can't create for themselves, and then Carlos Gil. And I feel like they need it, like that extra creator, whether it's out wide or centrally. I don't know where they go and get that guy, but the fact that they don't have that guy, I don't know if I can just blame directly on Caleb Porter. I think he's just trying to make do with what he has.
Jeremy, any thoughts for your boy? Come get your boy, bro.
Gonna go. Where have you gone?
Gannis, come on now. He's only scored 1 goal.
I know, but like, man, I miss him already. The problem is for those who are saying, oh, Caleb Porter, like he does the same stuff like every single press conference. It's always like, oh, these players are good, we'll be good, like blah blah blah. He just loves to lie. Now, I do believe there are still serious roster construction issues. The fact that they thought Campana was going to be their DP number 9 and score a ton of goals, obviously not going to happen. So you go and find another striker next year. You have to maximize what you have of Carlos Hill. I think Porter's been able to do that, which is why he isn't an insta-fire, in addition to the fact that they're going to win MLS Cup next year. So you can't fire him before they win MLS Cup. Like, that's just not how it works. I think that where they're really lacking, though, is besides having a striker, is just having a little bit like this is gonna be so mean. This is gonna be so mean what I'm gonna say, but like I don't think Matt Polster should be starting for this team. They need another midfielder in there. So and like this is like Matt Polster, he's like a New England lifer. He's played like 10 different positions for this Revs team for however long he's been here before like finally settling in as number 6. So they need another midfielder, ideally someone who is of Yusuf's caliber that can add a little bit more bite to that engine room, especially because I think Porter's found the best tactic for this group. I really think he has. The back three is where they've been playing their best ball. This team can play really well in a back three. So they need a striker. They need another central mid, and that'll do it. And then they win MLS Cup. Like, it's simple as that. Simple. But yeah, that Campana move, by the way, league record GAM fee for that.
Yippee.
What a terrible trade.
I wanted him to. Like, I wanted him at SKC. This was before Jovic. I was surprised that Miami let him go and that we weren't in for him. It's so crazy how much the environment can impact how well a player performs.
I'm going to move ahead to Houston, unless anyone's got a final New England thought. Houston. I kind of hyped them up as one of the teams in the mix here, and since then they've crashed on down to 11th, so the Juanners curse is there, but the West is still very tight when it comes to 7 through 11, as 3 points separate 11th place Houston and 7th place Colorado, so a lot more to still a lot more of the season to be had here, but for the Houston Dynamo, they were without Brooklyn Reigns, so they kind of had to go with Junior Urso here. I think I'm ready to see Linger at the striker position just forever. I think Ponce is like the knock on Ponce was he's gonna need service, right, on a team that doesn't really have creators. Like, they do have Jack McGlynn on the right wing now, so he's kind of fully been there. I think he is your starting right winger. On the left, it's kind of more open to Lawrence Anali, who was benched for this one. But I think a front three of Anali, McGlynn, and Linger just does a lot. And then if you between Bassi and Ponce, like, do you want Linger as a second forward behind Ponce, who is kind of very much a target guy and like more so of a poacher that needs service? And I don't know. I think Linger's just got a bit more dog to him, a bit more ability to create for himself. But Houston right now, my big issue is I think they're ready for. I think Ben Olsen has taken them as far as they could have been taken at this point, and maybe it's time for a change there. But beyond that, like, this team at its best, like, lost out because Hector Herrera was a bit of a head case in the playoffs, right? And so without that, without him, like, that his locker room presence, I was gonna wonder what this Houston team looks like, and it's very much a team here at its kind of end of the rope. Like, I feel very much like Ben Olsen, Houston right now feels like Adrian Heath at Minnesota for his final few years there. It's like, yeah, like, they've managed some good runs, but I think they need someone that can elevate them to that next step. But yeah, a 1-1 draw. They had to claw back and get this off of a penalty from Jack McGlynn, who kissed the badge. And I thought that was kind of weird. Petty as fuck. I love it. I think we need more of that. I love it. We need more of that in the league. Just kind of, just and his explanation at the end, because he did a little post game interview about it. he should have just stood on business. He's just been like, yeah, I love Houston, you know, like just total vibe shift there. But yeah, that's kind of Houston. Since I kind of assigned them for myself, I wanted to follow up with my analysis earlier. I still like the talent, but just can't help but feel like they're just very square right now for me. Anyone's got some Houston thoughts?
My thought is Jack McGlynn operates best as like a right-sided 8. So not so much as part of like a front 3, but I do think that that Houston should go out there and try and get like a true right winger, and then like let McGlynn sort of operate behind it, where like he can pick up a pass, maybe get an assist, or potentially like a key pass or a hockey assist because MLS counts those, but not so much as like part of a front 3. I really do think that his best position is still in that midfield where he's able to get the most touches on the ball and operate and just have the most impact. So that's my Houston take.
Anyone else? Because
I have a couple of Houston takes. I agree with that right-sided 8 shout first and foremost, because I believe that if you put McGlynn as the right-sided 8, Bossy as the left-sided 8, and then either one of Artur or Brooklyn Reigns at that 6, that works. That works really well in my mind. I see the vision there. But they just do not have another dynamic like player besides Anali. And Anali is dynamic because he can score and create for himself. They don't really have that. Bossy can create. He's not going to score unless it's from the penalty spot. Linger, guys, Linger hasn't scored a goal since June 14th. That's a stretch of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games without a goal. And he's only had 3 goals and 1 assist all year. Like, yeah, he came in the middle of the season. It's an adaptation period. But, like, I'm not fully sold on him yet. The other thing I'd really like to talk about, and this was my primary Houston point, is Griffin Dorsey stinks now. And I love it. Like, first of all, the best back 4 that Houston can muster right now, it still somehow involves Ethan Bartlow. Like, okay. Ortiz, who's actually been pretty fun. I like him. He's been a pretty solid Mikael replacement. Not as good, but still, like, yeah, you understand. You can see the vision there. Franco Escobar, who's still a very good fullback. And then you also have Felipe Andrade, who should be starting every single game. Griffin Dorsey has lost his spot. He's not very good anymore, and I love that. It's great. I'm loving this.
Any final Houston thoughts?
So, yeah, I have 2. I think that RSL loss 3 weeks ago is going to really come back and bite him in the ass, because if you look at Vancouver and Philly, where they are at the table and where you are at, and you say, hey, if you get a point out of those 2 games, like, are you happy? I mean, the answer is obviously not thrilled, but those are 2 really good teams. You got a point, is what it is. So the RSL loss is going to be what comes back, and they're like, if they don't make the playoffs in that wild card situation, like that's going to be one of those losses we look back at 2 and say, fuck, that's a win you need to have. I mean, at this point, is Olsen potentially another hot seat guy for you guys?
Maybe not now, but
No.
maybe at the end of the. He's definitely a review at the end of the year kind of situation.
I'm just trying to like put that in perspective with if Caleb Porter is potentially a hot seat guy, like is Olsen also in that conversation? And if you're saying no, maybe end of year we review it and see what he does next year, then I get that.
Olsen has had more success recently than Porter, though. And by success, I mean they won a U.S. Open Cup. You know, like I'm willing to give Olsen that leash at least, right? But I still am just kind of I don't know. Like at this iteration of the Dynamo now, it feels like it's reached its limit for me. That's just how I see it. But I still believe in the talent. I know Linger is. I think they've just been, because Linger has been playing all over the place. He's been playing as a 10, as a left wing, as a striker. Just play him as a striker, because then at least you get someone that can actually do something with the ball. Whereas Ponce, I don't know, he's just a poacher, a clear-cut poacher, you know? Are you guys firing
Holy
Olsen?
shit.
What are we thinking?
Holy shit. That's Ponce is who fucking San Diego needs to go by. Boom. We just fixed San Diego's problem.
Yeah.
Got it.
And he would cook on that team, because then he's got people just creating for him. But let's head over to San Jose, who traveled to Seattle after a very exciting kind of spring into summer for San Jose. They've not had a win since June 25th. So the month of July is the one to forget for them, but they're still fighting. They're still trying. They go to Seattle here and lose. What'd you make of the Earthquakes here? I know it was a heavily rotated side, but what'd you make of them here?
All right, so this is where we're going to teach the listeners a little lesson, and we're all of us are going to learn a little lesson here about the Heritage Cup. So I'm just going to read this directly from the page. It says the Heritage Cup is an annual cup rivalry between Major League Soccer teams San Jose Earthquakes and Seattle Sounders. Both teams carried their names forward from the NASL predecessors. However, the rivalry started in 2009 between San Jose Earthquake fan Rob Steverson and the Seattle Sounders FC supporters. So it's just been a rivalry that's been going on since 2009 based off the NASL days. I guess that's not super interesting, but I'd say the most interesting aspect of this is this is the first time since 2021, if remembering correctly, September of 2021, then that Seattle has outright won this rivalry, which I found just absolutely crazy given how like average to below average San Jose has been every year since this year, I guess before this year. So good job, Seattle. Good win. From a San Jose Earthquakes perspective, I thought they played a nice game. This is just one of those teams that we all thought, hey, this team's going to win games by scoring a ton of goals, and it's a brand new team, right? It's a bunch of arena guys and some new DPs. Like, what is he going to be able to accomplish with this team as it continues to gel? And it just feels like this team, while they do score a ton of goals, has not really gelled like how we thought they would. I just saw a recent statistic on them. Someone grossed out expected wins for the rest of the year, and San Jose somehow is not expected to make the playoffs, which I find utterly insane given their talent. I think Preston Judd had a really nice game. He scored a goal, probably should have scored two. He put himself in some really good positions. Arango did what he did. Espinoza showed why he is one of the best crossers in the league. I think it's really the debate's up between him and Kai Wagner and really nobody else for me at this point, because they're amazing at finding assists and swinging in crosses with what they do. But overall, I felt like this was a game that San Jose put themselves in position to win, and they just kind of choked it away. And a lot of that came down to their back line. We'll get into it more when we get into Seattle, but I thought this was the nicest game for Pedro de la Vega that I have seen in a Seattle Sounders uniform. And a lot of that was simply because their line was just so deep the entire game that they were able to take advantage of it. And if you're going to play that deep of a line, you're going to pay the price for it. You have to score goals. So I really think that that's really what this came down to, was they did what they needed to offensively to win, but that high line really bit them in the ass at the end of the day. And honestly, in those two goals, those three goals, there wasn't a whole lot that Daniel could do either. Like, they were just really tough saves if he were to save them. On a positive note for both teams, this is probably the prettiest uniform matchup I have ever seen in my life. So yeah, that's what I got.
Can I step in after that uniform comment?
Oh God.
San Jose's, yeah, I get it. It's really good, but like, I don't want to see a bunch of Dixie cups running around on the field. I don't think that's very. No, guys, like, I don't.
You hate heritage. You hate heritage. You hate heritage.
I want Dixie cups over blank white tees, bro. Do you want the MLS All-Star jersey? Is that what you're telling me, Jeremy? Is either that
I don't
or
want the
Dixie Cup?
MLS All-Star jersey, but I would want something better if I was a Sounders fan. But you know what? Those people will buy anything. So, including stock in Pedro de la Vega. So
we're not getting there yet. We're not getting there yet. You know what? When we get to Seattle, I'm gonna have my jersey debate lined up. You can go on to the next team.
I will say Seattle is not the worst, but they aren't among the best.
They had the most viable kit of all of them.
Dallas, man, Dallas. But
the second most viable
gross.
kit.
No,
the Wizards won. The Wizards won from last year for real.
Yes. Oh, but really, let's just get this out of the way now. Let's do it right now. All of the jerseys from last year are better than the ones from this year.
Yep. Agreed.
Yes.
That's a hot take.
I don't really care. Jerseys is whatever.
Honestly, I really like the Timbers one from last year too. That one is nice.
And the Timbers, I'd actually say, was more relatively boring compared to some of the other ones, but it was still it just looked really good, and it was like, yeah, I like that. So moving on, I think that's that. Good job for kit discussion, guys. I think that this game and this downturn in San Jose's form has been punctuated by the fact that DeJuan Jones is their most important player. Like, yes, Espinoza creates a ton of chances. Yes, Orongo is comfortably one of the best attackers in this league when he's healthy. But this whole system is tied together by what DeJuan Jones does as a wingback. And he's been hurt recently. They have not been able to defend as well because, like, during that really good unbeaten run through pretty much all of May, and then aside from that St. Louis loss continuing into early July, DeJuan Jones was consistently putting in excellent performances for this team. So I feel like they're just not going to be the same without DeJuan Jones. And yeah, they rotated a ton with their back line for this game because they usually do have a pretty good record against Seattle. But I mean, it's just unfortunate. They're really, really missing DeJuan Jones right now. And also, I do not see the hype with Useni Buddha. I do not. I know Juanners loves him. I don't see it. I really don't.
I think they did enough offensively this game to win.
Who? San Jose?
San Jose. Yeah, DeJuan Jones or not. I thought Ricketts played a nice game. I thought Espinoza did a good job on the right. Like, I mean, they did enough offensively to win. I'm not sure how much DeJuan Jones adds defensively, but defensively they were really bad.
Well, no, I think I'm with Jeremy here because I know. I mean, at the end of the day, they did attack, but they didn't win. And I think DeJuan Jones is a game winner here, and that's the difference. Because San Jose is going to attack, and that's never. I mean, outside of the really bad years when they were just whether they were just coasting through the season, they still had an attack, and Bruce is always going to have a say in the game, right? But if he's going to want to have a much more major say, he needs DeJuan Jones, who allows Christian Espinoza into the attack, and more importantly, does push Buddha to the bench, because then you have Joseph or even beyond that, Judd in front of Orongo, and I think that works a lot more. But you need Espinoza in the attack for this to work. And when he's playing wingback, it's just kind of you're sacrificing a lot in the attack there by not having Jones.
I don't know why this conversation is reminding me of when you put Christian Espinoza at left back for your Western All-Star team.
Me?
For the mid.
I had Biro. I had Biro.
Somebody put Espinoza at left back, and I don't remember who, but it was insane. I want to go back and find it.
I definitely had him as my Western right back, but I think that says more about the West.
You had him a right back. That's right, not left back. My bad.
Beyond that, though, let's move ahead to New York, and I kind of want to pair the New York teams because they're both mid, right in the middle. Let's start with New York Red Bulls, who I think whenever it comes to Miami, I think they know. I would not be shocked if in the back Sandro Schwartz is like, hey guys, like, you see the lineup. We're not gonna win this, so just go out there, have fun. I know this is our home crowd, but they're all gonna be chanting for Messi. Just go out there and have fun, guys. Like, I would guarantee that's kind of the sentiment here, because I mean, you look at this lineup, a 5-back with Mo Sofo as the right wing back against this like very good Talasco Segovia side. Suarez on that side. Messi was just gonna torch him there. Like, I don't know. I'm over the Red Bulls. I'm over Sandro Schwartz. I think it's time for another reset there. Maybe a Timo Werner helps them out, but even then, I'm just like, all the good of that midweek win, only to just, I mean, it was against the Revolution, but can't help but feel they phoned it in here. Jeremy, what's the New York take here for the Red Bulls?
They do nothing to inspire me. Choupo-Moting somehow, like, he's got 13 goals this year. Like, who allowed that to happen, man? Yeah, but Noah Ayla, by the way, who is rated very highly in American Soccer Analysis's goals added metric. He stunk in this, guys. Ayla not good. Hack okay. Nealis is a Nealis. Like, they did kind of phone it in. Like, I don't know why you're just throwing Julian Hall out there in this game. I don't know why. It seems that seems like a little mean-spirited in my mind. Like, this is still a home game. It's still against Miami. And dare I remind you, in this fixture last year, the Red Bulls won. They didn't just win. They won 4-0. Buoyed by a quad of assists from a dearly departed Dante Van Zier. So, do you want to know how many players started that game and started this game?
I mean, you got Coronel.
There's only one. There's only one from last year's 4-0 victory, and it's Dylan Nealis. No, wait, Sean Nealis. Shit, I mixed up my Nealises. That's on me. Bad Jeremy.
That's a crime. That's a huge crime.
Big crime.
Punishable by death.
But yes, for Miami, by the way, they were without Messi in that game, but they still had Busquets on that pitch. They still had Alba. They still had Suarez.
I think that was Messi's debut.
No. Messi. This was March 23rd of 2024.
Oh, okay.
When these two teams met last year, and Van Zier put them to the sword. So, like, you use last year's victory as like a way, like, hey, yeah, we actually probably could beat this team. And they came out, and Miami just ran circles around them, and Messi scored 2 more goals because he's just doing that now. Great, wonderful. But yeah, it's really funny that like Miami still doesn't have like a proper center back partner for Falcone, but like it legitimately just did not matter in this game. It did not matter. This game was this. I was watching this in the press box at like Providence Park as part of 360, and like obviously like doing more like looks after the game ended. But I was just like, oh, Miami scored again. Oh, Miami scored again. And it was just such a foregone conclusion. This Red Bulls team is beyond boring. Besides like Sofo and Omar Valencia and just like all the players who are good but not good enough to win you a match, like Forsberg's supposed to be. Like, man, it's depressing. It's depressing.
Let's pivot to New York then, because I know Josh got the chance to see them live and in living color. They did get a draw here against, I mean, coming off a 2-1 win against Orlando, in which they stole them all. How do you feel about seeing New York here, and how are you feeling about New York City, I should add?
NYCFC. Well, firstly, that number 10 that they're getting, I think cannot come at a better time. I think that he's going to slot hopefully right in, I think, to that left wing. I know Perea scored, but I think that was his first goal for NYCFC this year. So I think that this new signing, his name is escaping me right now, like he did last week.
Nicholas Fernandez.
Another Fernandez, because Julian Fernandez is also on NYCFC. So Julian Fernandez on the right, Nicholas Fernandez on the left, Morales at the cam, Martinez up top. That's a good front four, I think. It's just everything below that, except for Matt Freese, who he was my third takeaway from this game. Matt Freese is a very good goalkeeper, as we all know, but he was really good in this game also. He didn't have as many chances to make saves as Polskamp did, which is awesome to say, especially because Sporting home. But Matt Freese is still a very good goalkeeper, and I wrote in my notes. I think that Polskamp should be getting USMNT look-ins. Matt Freese must be feeling nervous. And my next note is he made a really good save on Shalaway. So battle the goalkeepers for me in this game, honestly. But for NYCFC, I'm bored, I guess. Like that's the best way I can put it. I feel like it's fun to see Maxi Morales still getting assists at 38, and it's fun to watch Justin Hack decide to meander upfield every once in a while. Feels like he can. But beyond that, NYCFC just don't excite me that much. And, should they make the playoffs this year, which I think they'll probably scrape into, it'll just be a matter of like, why are they even here? Who invited this guy?
Much like the Red Bulls. Like the Red Bulls.
Even the Red Bulls. Like if the Red Bulls make it over NYCFC, it'd be like, who invited this guy? It's a travesty that we're thinking that one of these New York teams is going to get a playoff spot. Hopefully it's not both of them, because that's just a damn shame. But, yeah.
Justice for New England and the Chicago Fire.
I need the Chicago Fire to pull it out. I do. Yeah, I'm just not moved by NYCFC. Again, they probably should add a penalty at the end of the game. So, good luck with that. But, yeah, NYCFC, 1-1. Is there anything worse than a 1-1 draw in a humid Kansas City, Kansas evening? I don't know if there is.
Let's move ahead to a team that I think is comfortably better than both teams here. I will say Charlotte FC, don't look now, but they have just gone on a 3-game winning streak. And I have a lot to say on Charlotte, but I'll let our main man here, Daniel, talk about his beloved Charlotte, who went on and crushed on the road against Atlanta. What do you have for us, Mr. Daniel? I told you not to be worried when we got Gorno, Aidan Taklamati going crazy, and he actually has a fourth last name, Markovic.
I didn't know that.
Aidan Gorno Taklamati Markovic. Like, I think he's just...
How'd you discover that?
I saw his social security number. Birth certificate, sorry. But no, I didn't. But tell us
four names, and he also has 4 goals in his past 6 games.
Look at that. Thank you. Bailed me there.
huge news.
We just next goal he'll discover a new name, but what are you making of Charlotte? Because I got my takes here. Tell us though.
Gordo's growing on me, but I think he got a lot of help from guys like Zaha. Pep Biel's been amazing. It's a luxury when you can take Kerwin Vargas, who happens to be in form right now. He's actually had a really good season when he has played. This front 3 looked incredibly good in the press against, really turns into a front 4 with the way Pep Biel plays up. But they looked incredibly dangerous in that second half against Atlanta. I really, really liked. Did you guys see Zaha's goal? It was blasted all over MLS and social media, so I'm sure everyone saw it. But it was probably one of the nicest individual goals I have ever seen. And it's nice seeing your big name signings doing big time things. Granted, it's against a bunch of USL quality defenders, but I'll take it. Look, you got to take your wins when you get them. But like, what a luxury it is when Abada's injured to be able to just sub on Kerwin Vargas, who to the disbelief of tons of people, because he has a lot of haters for whatever reason. And he seems to get it done. And I've seen him do it time and time again. And he just has like this aura about him where all he wants to do is just hit fucking piss missiles. He reminds me of the Colombian Eric Tommy. Or he's just out there just fucking ripping them. It is amazing. I will say there was like, if you split the field into thirds, there was a weak side to this field, and I do believe Atlanta was able to take advantage of it, and it was the Vargas Bill Tuiluma side. But Bill being out there is not that's just a band-aid. I mean, we got Solomon Doumbia back. It was nice seeing him back out there on the pitch. Byrne should be back here in August, so we're going to have a lot of options there from the fullback perspective. And it seems like Privet's benched for Ream, and I'm not unhappy about that. You got to put whatever center backs are in there, like whoever is stopping the bleeding the most, whatever pairing is the one that's doing it, that's what you got to roll out there. So overall, very, very, very happy with this team. Very, very happy with the lineup they came out with, given the circumstances. And I'm just, man, Pep Beal, what a player. I say it week in and week out. He is the best non-DP player in the league. And what does he have? 3 goals in the last 2 games now at this point? 3 goals, 2 assists in the last 2 games? Like, he is just a stud, and he's top 5 in the league for goal and assist contributions. Yeah. What more can I say? And Dean Smith continues to make good changes here at half, and he's been on a run where I think I said it like 5 or 6 weeks ago. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? And for a second there, I was on the mentally. I don't think I ever said it out loud. I was like, if these guys are a bubble team with the talent that they have, like maybe Dean Smith should be on the hot seat. But he's making me a believer again, and they're doing it playing through injuries. So I will take it. I am a very happy Charlotte fan right now.
Now the season's not quite done yet because there's still like, if there's ever a lot of season left for a team, it's for Charlotte, who do have a mountain to climb. Ahead of them is Orlando, and then Miami, who have a bunch of games in hand. So you're kind of watching and hoping Miami kind of drop a bit, right? But beside that, you got to be at least better than the 2 New York teams who are absolutely dog shit mid. So I'm like, and everyone's here pulling for Chicago. So so long as you're better than one of those 2 New York teams, ideally both, Charlotte will kind of maintain the 7th place. But they have shown some signs of potential crash outs. I don't think they will, but like, I don't mean to burst Daniel's bubble here, but maybe let's figure out what the best defense is. Because, I mean, you pointed it out, right? Like, Tuiloma, probably not the best, like, probably a Band-Aid, but if we're heading into decision day and Bill Tuiloma is still your best right back option, that's going to say a lot more as to where it went wrong for Charlotte. But for now, they're in that sweet spot of like, oh my God, it could either go really, really well, or oh my God, it could go really, really bad real quick. So they're going to be the team to watch towards the end of the stretch here. Maybe scare Daniel a little bit with that analysis, but
no. We the pressure makes diamonds, and this team's full of them, so we'll be fine. Plus, having Solomon Doumbia back is such a luxury. Like, we haven't had healthy fullbacks all season. I guess Charlotte hasn't had. I'm not on the team. I shouldn't say we, but they haven't had healthy fullbacks all season. At least it hasn't felt like it. I mean, when Byrne went down, Solomon Doumbia was supposed to be that 1-for-1 replacement, and then he went down, and now we're rolling out Bill Tuiloma. So I don't expect him to be the full-time guy over there. But considering how much they paid for him in GAM, I have not been unhappy with the performances he's had. So, yeah, you're right. If we're starting him on decision day, we're in trouble, but I don't expect that. I expect us to get healthy here with Byrne and Doumbia here.
Move ahead to Orlando. We got Orlando, Miami, and Cincy, I think, to finish out, and Philly. But I mean, we kind of talked about the top 4 there for those, but for Orlando, kind of had that rough loss against NYC, and this was after kind of that 1-1 draw where I was hyping them up, and I was like, yeah, Orlando's good, and Orlando will be fine. They lost. I was a little bit like, oh, did I just curse Orlando? The pod curse? Is that a thing? But this 2-1 road win is just what they needed. Still very high on Orlando just because they have the talent there, but beyond that, nothing really has changed for me on them. How's the rest of the crew feeling about Orlando?
Luis Muriel fraud watch. Who's there? Who's there with me? Luis Muriel fraud watch.
I'm there.
You're there, Jeremy? Juan, you want to take a dip in the fraud watch pool?
I think if he wasn't just like, the team is carrying his ass right now, right? But he's still like, I don't know. He gives me like playoff, I'm gonna show up in the playoff vibes. Kind of like New York. You know what I mean? Like New York like coasted. Like they got after Leagues Cup, they're like, we're just gonna draw our way into the playoffs, and then they played their way to the final just off some crazy Dante Van Zier like over performance there. I think Luis Muriel is in line for that, just given the quality. But yeah, he's kind of been on fraud watch, right? Like, oh, how long has it been now since he hasn't scored? Every time I go into my model and find out like player goal scorers, it always says stay away from Muriel. So if anything, like the model is on fraud watch, but I don't know. I can't deny that experience, but I can see why it'd be easy for the rest of the crew to do so.
Yeah.
So you're saying basically, hold on, from that being a playoff riser, you're saying that the Red Bulls should cash for Luis Muriel so they can form the oldest, most washed striker tandem in the entire league.
God, I'm there for that. I'm so
on board with that. Let's do it, baby.
Because then they'll play 4-4-2 and figure it out or some bullshit. But
yeah.
And here's the thing: if we really are that cold on Luis Muriel, Ramiro Enrique is fun, but more importantly, Duncan Maguire is still on this team. So it's like the sooner the better when he's healthy. But I mean, I still believe in Duncan to. I mean, he could also be the playoff riser, right? Like any of the strikers on Orlando can be carried by a hot streak. And right now they don't need to be hot, but come playoffs they absolutely do. So right now I just
think it's sorry.
Well, for me it's just get Duncan healthy. That's like that'll be their playoff hopes. But what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say if he's healthy, then does he slot in automatically? Because like at this point of the season, you're trying to get your strikers on a hot streak. You're trying to get them minutes, repetitions, so that they feel confident heading into the playoffs. I mean, I know it's only match week 26, but we have, 12 left, I think?
Yes.
So that's 3 months. That's 3 months, and that time really does fly. Especially, Leagues Cup is coming up right around. Yeah, I think Jeremy said Maguire slots right in for Muriel as soon as he's back healthy again. And I agree. I think that if I'm Pareja, I'm focused on getting my players healthy and getting them hot. Muriel's had his chance to get hot. He hasn't done it. Players who have been hot, though, Martin Ojeda, Pasalic, they've been very good for Orlando. They're the reason that Orlando are fighting for a playoff. I mean, they're the reason that Orlando aren't completely sinking. Eduard Atuesta as well. He's been very good, a very good pickup for Orlando. So Orlando is really good in these positions that just aren't the number 9 right now. It feels like every team needs a striker.
Can I add one more thing to this number 9 discussion? I love how Orlando's striker core is essentially just like the most MLS striker core you could ever ask for. You have the washed European in Muriel. You have the exciting South American youngster in Ramiro Enrique. And you have the draft pick in Duncan McGuire, and the draft pick is the one that they need more than anything. I love this fucking league, man.
Well said. I'm with you there. I just get healthy, right? And once they're healthy, I think we'll be able to have a real take on them as to whether or not because they're in the mix, right? Like, they're not crashing out. I don't think they're crashing out at all. I think they're in a good spot here, like to maintain 6 or better. But if anyone's got a strong case for Charlotte, New York City, New York Red Bulls, or even Chicago, who are only 6 points behind, so maybe, you never know if Chicago can get hot and really, really cement that spot. But a lot of season left, so don't want to kind of force a opinion there just yet. Let's talk Inter Miami. Still got games in hand, 3 to be exact. I understand that Messi is putting up video game numbers, and quite frankly, I don't care, because I think this was always going to be the case for many people that watch the league of Messi is not gonna flop. And even in my predictions, I couldn't quite put them out of the playoffs like I did LA Galaxy, right? I had them peg a lot lower than I guess. I was definitely doubting it, but Miami coming into MLS was always going to be him just balling out, him scoring, him going crazy, right? But it's this one loss here against Cincinnati, guys, in midweek, and I kind of want to pair this too, because I mentioned it earlier, Cincinnati beat them, and when it matters most, those are the games where Miami needs to win more than, because you can beat up New York Red Bulls, you can beat up Montreal, right? And they beat up Nashville, but that Nashville win wasn't that convincing, and they barely got away from it. So there's enough doubt for me in Miami to just kind of see past all the Messi video game number hype. How are y'all feeling about it? We'll go to Jeremey since I kind of have him on the docket here, but is anyone else kind of not fazed by Miami here? If that's the word, or are they actually just that good? Am I being dumb here?
So last year, Cincy also thumped Miami at TQL. They won 6-1 in a game that was just not close at all. Now, there was no Messi in that game. Busquets was starting as a center back. So I just think that for whatever reason, they just have Miami's number in Cincinnati. They do. That script is probably going to flip when they go to South Beach for the reverse fixture. But this is also this was also a very short turnaround. They went to Miami went to Cincy after hosting Nashville. So this was a pretty tough week for them. I'm not going to lie. There's 2 home games in there, but you have to go to Cincinnati midweek. So I don't think it really bodes terribly for Miami, because Club World Cup fatigue, which I think is kind of a legitimate thing, even if Messi isn't showing it, but he's an alien. There's still the matter of who's going to be the first choice starting center back next to Falcone. There's still the matter of what is their best midfield configuration, but their match winners are the best in the league for a reason. So if you can just say the off night's coming, it's probably going to come on a Wednesday night in Cincinnati.
Anyone else got some earth-shattering Miami takes?
I think with 3 games in hand, they are good enough to beat who they're supposed to beat, and they're also good enough to beat pretty much anybody, but lose to pretty much anybody at that top end of the spectrum, like we just saw with Cincinnati. But those 3 games in hand make them very, very scary. I don't want to add them into the Shield discussion because I feel like they are a injury away from imploding, and there is still 3 months in this season. But I mean, based off our takes at the beginning of the season and what they've shown that they are now, I mean, who's to argue the video game numbers that are being put up by this team?
That's valid. Let's pivot to Cincy, though, because I did have Joss on there, and I realize we skipped RSL, and that's actually fine by me. But let's talk about Cincy here. That I promise that was not planned, but let's talk about Cincy here. Joss, I know they had a heavily rotated lineup. They rolled out Corey Baird in that last match, but generally speaking, and they won, I gotta say. But generally speaking, like Cincinnati have just been like winning despite their their performances, I'd say. Kind of got humbled by Columbus, but what is your Cincy takeaway from not just this match, but like long term into the playoffs? Like, what are you seeing here from them?
Cincy are a team that perform well for some reason, despite their every single stat that points to teams doing well. Cincinnati fail in. They are a strange team, and a lot of that I think is owed to how good their talent is. But Cincy are 18th on expected goal differential when it's tied. They're 14th when they're ahead, and when they're trailing, they're last. They just don't seem like a team that are creating very many chances, that are creating the chances that you think, hey, this is a team that, you know, if they're creating a lot of chances and they're not conceding a lot, then they're a good team. But that's not Cincinnati. But they keep winning games. And this game is no different. Luca Orejano, I mean, he's only really contributing to the stats that I just read out, because he scores an absolute worldie. If we're to look at the numbers, I think it's 0.05 XG. But that's the game winner. It's a 1-0, and Cincinnati move on. Cincinnati go on the road and get a 1-0 win in MLS, which, as we all know, that's like gold, winning on the road. I do think that a lot of their success this season is owed to how talented their team is. Obviously, Evander is an MVP candidate. Kevin Danke has been doing well. We got players like Miles Robinson and Jeremey. I was just going to bring that up. I have that in my notes here. You mentioned Corey Baird. This meme made by a Cincinnati fan was killing me when I saw it. What if Corey Baird had WhatsApp? Pat Noonan says, I need goals, Corey. Chris Albright says, I need goals, Corey. Louisville City says, you up? Dado Valenzuela says, hey, bro, can I get my charger back? Carl Linder III says, I need goals, Corey. Jeff Birding says, I need goals, Corey. Any Baird believers out there, I think it's over.
No,
I do think it's over. I know that there's a large contingency of listeners and podcast co-hosts that are saying that they're Baird believers, and I think that the Baird experiment is over. Louisville City's calling. They're already in his WhatsApp. But with Danke out until early August, I think now this is the part of the season, or it might be even late August. I saw early August report. It might be more. Now is the time when Evander's MVP candidacy is make or break. Obviously, beating Miami, thrashing Miami, scoring in that game, that did a lot for it, especially if Messi is his main competitor for this. But now, when the team has relied on their talent for so long, can Evander carry them through this injury crisis? I mean, Valenzuela and Corey Baird started up top for them. This game, that's not who they go to. That's not who they want to go to. So, yeah, that's
Valenzuela is someone who they could go to, but I mean, the WhatsApp doesn't lie in regards to Corey Baird.
True.
Maybe they can't cash for Kai Kamara to San Diego now. They really need Kai Kamara.
They're kind of relying on him a little bit. I'm just so conflicted on the Cincinnati team because everything suggests that they're bad, and they're giving a lot of Austin to that St. Louis team in 2023 where they might crash out early, and I'm afraid for that. Like, I don't even know how Pat Noonan can, as a coach, address that because they're still performing well. They're still are they still top of the Shield? I think they're still top of the Shield.
Philly probably passed them. Wait,
Philly probably Philly drew.
Philly did draw. As a matter of fact.
Cincy's at the top. Cincy's at the top.
Cincy's currently at the top.
5
So,
points.
like,
clear.
if you're Pat Noonan and you're looking at all these underlying statistics that say you should be a bad team, but you're still top of the Shield, how do you coach your way out of that? I don't know. I don't envy his position right now.
You fire all the data analysts. That's what you
because
do.
it's X-Dog. X-Dog is all that we care about on this podcast, and that's all that people should care about. So that's my take on Cincinnati. I'm not sure why they're just a special. They're a case study, and I think in a couple of years, if they continue at this rate where they win the Shield, that's amazing. I'm just worried that they're going to crash out early because history tends to repeat itself.
I'm not concerned about a possible crash out early. In fact, I'm encouraging it. But I first of all, I'd also like to talk about RSL a little bit at the end of this, because although Juanners doesn't want to hear about RSL, and I certainly don't want to hear about RSL, they do deserve to be mentioned because this is an MLS podcast, and MLS has 2 of the letters of RSL in it. So, yeah. let me see. I would like to shout out, I think, a player who I am amazed hasn't been playing more, because he is dynamite whenever he steps on the pitch. That is Gilberto Flores, their 22-year-old Paraguayan center back. Now, for a team that has really been struggling defensively, Noonan has been playing Alvis Powell at center back, Lucas Angel at center back. Why is Gilberto Flores being the rotation option at the very end of a 3-match week? I don't get that. I think there's a room for him in Cincinnati's best team that they can pull right now, especially considering that Denke is injured, and I think Orejano moves back up to the top alongside Valenzuela sooner rather than later. But yeah, I'd like to spread a little bit of Gilberto Flores propaganda. He's very, very, very good. He's very fun to watch too. But their match winner in this game was Orejano at one end and Roman Celentano on the other, who, man, he looks like a child. Celentano does. He looks like he would not be out of place in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie. He looks like Mike Teavee. So, I'm like, every once in a while he has these games where he's by far and away the best player on the pitch. I'd say this was probably one of them. So yeah, and it's kind of good for RSL that, or at least, no, I mean for Cincy, that Evander didn't have to step up and be the match winner in this one. It was Celentano and Orejano. So you know what? Good for them. This is not going to bode well come playoff time. I can't wait for that, but I have to wait a few months for that to happen. Quick RSL point. Since moving to the 4-2-2-2, BJ Callahan influence, coach of the year, ? Diego Luna and Diogo Gonçalves in particular, mostly Gonçalves now that I think about it, have actually looked like he's looked like a DP again. Very good for him. Also, I'd love to shout out Noel Caliscon once again. The Timbers did not keep him because he took up an international roster slot. And as a draft pick, that should be illegal to take up an international roster slot as a draft pick for a guy who went to college here. That's bullshit. This league. I love this league. It also pisses me off immensely. Caliscan is an unbelievable player. He plays with some of the most dog I've ever seen because he's always angry at someone. And you know what? I can only respect that.
He was probably angry at Ta'anunga, who absolutely bodied him for the assist to Orellano there. And that is what I will say there. Because I think Caliscan is not good, but that's only because he's playing as a right back. But he got bodied there.
He looked
by
plenty good.
Ta'anunga, bro.
That is true. That is true. But he looked plenty good midweek when he was playing in the pivot alongside, I believe, with Ruiz. Yeah.
I will give you
that.
So,
yeah. That's his natural position. Play him there.
Let's close with the Philadelphia Union here. They rotated heavily on the road against Houston, picked up a point. Lukic in, Raffanello in, Michael Ure is back. Ua, I should say. Alejandro Bedoya in at left wing. No Kevin Sullivan down in Houston Dynamo territory. But I know Daniel gave some Bradley Carnell Coach of the Year shouts. It doesn't look like this team is stopping anytime soon. Are we thinking maybe a transfer splash for them? What would you guys? What do we need on this Philly team? Because they've dropped Gazdag, and like I feel like even when they dropped Gazdag, we were all kind of like, "Huh, whatever." You know what I mean? We were all kind of hyped for what that meant for Columbus, but now I mean, like, with Philadelphia Union pivot here, like, are we confident in kind of seeing how far Carnell can take this team?
I am.
I feel like it would be pretty uncharacteristic of Philly to go and get a big summer signing, though.
Do you think this team is
Like
is it though? Like are we thinking this is a complete team? Because I mean, there are some teams that, and I mean MLS, right? You'll never have a complete team, but I mean, I can't help but wonder, like, what happens if you're without Lukic or Danley, who did get the rest here, but like I just wonder what happens when another center back goes down or when another fullback goes down for them. Like, that is my main concern.
Yeah, I mean, they do need to go get another center back. I mean, they needed another center back all year, but they figured out a way to make it work. But yeah, down the stretch, they absolutely need to sign one. I just don't foresee them signing one. I mean, I even floated out that concept on Twitter just to see what Philly fans thought, and the general consensus was that what they are now is what they're going to be come the end of the season, which shocked me, but it kind of does line up with kind of what they've done the last 3 to 4 years as well. So if they let it ride here, I guess they're just playing. They're playing with house money at that point. I think we could all admit, because they have no depth at that position. Even then, they don't have any creators outside Quinn Sullivan. Imagine look how bad they played when he was with the U.S. men's national team. So, I mean, they do have holes and they have depth issues. It's just they're just seeming to rely heavily on staying healthy and not having to rotate.
Any other final closing thoughts? We haven't seen Philly at their full strength just yet, so maybe the full strength team could prove a little bit different. I mean, they're still getting results, right? So it's like, as cautious as I may feel and timid and tepid about their depth, I mean, they're still getting results. They haven't lost since their 1-0 loss to Nashville and Columbus, but you know, before that they hadn't lost to NYC since April 12th, right? Yeah. So I mean, they are a strong team. Anyone else got any thoughts here on Philly before we wrap up the pod?
My worry about Philly is that they're not scoring goals. They've scored 10 goals in the last 9 games. Tyberibo's kind of gone cold, and Daniel Gazdag is third on their goal scoring list with 2.
That's a crazy stat.
He's got 2 also, by the way. Like, so if they do go out, I don't think they need to go out for a center back. I think maybe it needs to be up top. It seems like everybody needs top, but Philadelphia more so than a lot of teams, because they just don't have anybody, I think, who can reliably put the chances away when they need to. So maybe the cash for Kai Kamara he needs to don a Union shirt.
Just cash for Kai.
Do you want to hear some funny stuff? One of those guys up top who could be putting goals away in theory is the one and only Damiani. 4 goals from 8.08 XG.
Well, I got 8 XG, but
Ooh.
yeah.
So he's getting into he's just not finishing. But he's getting into the spots to finish. I mean, half the battle. I mean, that can be taught.
That's also, I realize I misspoke a little bit. That's 7.3 non-penalty XG. So he has 3 goals, 3 non-penalty goals, from 7.3 non-penalty XG. You feel like that's going to turn around at some point, right? Like it's gotta.
Yeah, I mean, players don't usually underperform their XG to that extent for a long time.
Yeah, let's close this one up, fellas. Daniel, where can they find you?
You can find me on X, the Everything app, at Vox Pro MLS. You'll see me on there as Major League Shill.
Jeremy?
You can find me on the Elon app at Sports Guy Jeremy. You can find me on the Butterfly website, which is Bluesky. That's jeremypeterin.bsky.social. You can read my work for, wait for it, Cascadia-fc.ghost.io. That's right. New website just launched today. Go feel free to look at it. I've published a lot of things over the years. All of those are on this new website. So if you want to go back and see what I thought of Zach McGraw at the end of 2023, it's up there. But also, it's Cascadia FC. So there will be Sounders content on there. There will be Vancouver content on there because those three make up Cascadia, much to the chagrin of Portland Timbers fans who are astounded that there is Seattle Sounders content on a Cascadia website. Ah, Lord.
Josh, where can they find you?
I'm on Twitter at Josh Bathtub. I'm also on there at Off to See the Wizards, and I'm on Instagram at Off to See the Wizards. So if you want some SKC content or you want to buy a shirt that says Off to See the Wizards on it, you can do that on our Instagram.
You can find me, Juanners, at juanners.bsky.social. You can find me on the Box State Footy accounts as well. I'm permanently tweeting from there. So I took a break last week from social media just to touch some grass amidst some heavy, dense MLS work. But I'll be back on the socials for the Rapids games, live tweeting those as well. But yeah, follow Box State Footy at Box State Footy everywhere. BoxStateFooty.com for all the links. Subscribe to the newsletter where there's a quick whip around of all Colorado soccer. Kind of a neat little refresher there, but that's going to be it from us here in another Outside the Box podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye.